Welcome to The Big Issue. We are live on 97.3 City FM. We are on Channel 1 Television, on Channel 363 on DSTV. We are also live on YouTube and all our other socials. We are happy to have you join us today. I am Selorm Adonoo. The show, as always, is live and interactive, and you can join via WhatsApp on 020-444-7033 or 0549-986-996. A couple of things we want to look at this morning. Very interesting week. It has been generally about legal issues and even to some extent cultural. Daddy Lumba's funeral is underway as we hear, and we'll head to the funeral grounds pretty shortly to see what's happening there and then come back in studio. That funeral has met quite a number of legal matters, and that was resolved yesterday somewhat, and so clearing the way for the funeral to take place today. Who would have thought that a legend of his kind will have such controversy dogging his funeral, or heralding rather his funeral? We will look at that and see what really the issues are and how we proceed from there. Also, the Kpandai seat is now vacant, and there's a huge dispute from there. The court is ordered a rerun, and that process appears to be on course. Parliament is written to the EC. The EC has announced a date, 30th December, for the rerun of that election. Meanwhile, there's quite a lot of legal matters in court. There's a stay of execution application. There's a certiorari motion before the Supreme Court, and there are a few other things in that process. That notwithstanding, we understand the candidates are on the ground with their parties campaigning ahead of the December 30 election. What are the issues really? We want to look at that. Is it just a rerun or a restraint? As we see the legal challenges. We will deal with that as well. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has been in the news for a couple of weeks now. Now, there was some attempt to lay or table a private member's bill to scrap the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act. President John Dramani Mahama intervened and called a truce of a kind, asking his majority leader and majority chief whip, who appeared to be the sponsors of the bill, to withdraw it. They have said they would withdraw it, or they have withdrawn it, but people have raised issues of executive interference in the work of Parliament because the president is executive and the MPs are the legislature. And was it appropriate for the president to have intervened in that matter? Or also, why was there no communication between the leadership of Parliament on what they want to do and then the executive? Since normally the executive will have to sponsor the bill, but of course, for private members, private people do it as they wanted to do. Says that the Office of the Special Prosecutor is quite new and needs time, and also calls on the office to be efficient and expedite action on the cases they are dealing with. What are the issues really? The Office of the Special Prosecutor, new office, now properly functional. Are we putting too much pressure on that office? Is the office also discharging its duty or job creditably or satisfactorily? We will look at all of that. And also, there's the issue about legalizing Okada. Is it a political pledge fulfilled or necessary regulation at last? A number of things have been. People say, no, allowing these Okada guys on the road is chaotic. People also think that they're doing it, better find a way to regulate it so they can be employed in the process. What again are the issues? We'll look at all of this. We have a full plate for you this morning. We'll take a short break, return, introduce our guests, provide updates, and hit the discussion. This is The Big Issue on 97.3 City FM. Don't go away.
Meet James. James has been searching for happiness for years. So we asked locals to point him to the source of their happiness. Until one fateful night, when his search finally came to an abrupt end. Find your happy place with GoTV. Get GoTV to enjoy a wide range of shows for the whole family. GoTV. Love it.
Hey, Ghana. So you people know Miss Brother once more. If you knew, it's your boy. Kill them all, kill them all. But this time, I'm not only killing mosquitoes, I am killing the great. See? This wouldn't have been possible if I didn't have the perfect mosquito-free atmosphere. Thank you, Out Insecticide. And yeah, Out Mosquito Pro. For a mosquito-free atmosphere, trust Out to... You are not serious.
Out Insecticide. So ya boa, faha. This Christmas Eve, skip the ordinary and step into the extraordinary. Welcome to the Situation All White Party 2025, where the music never stops, the energy never drops, and the fun never ends. Celebrating grand style with great music, irresistible food, and an atmosphere that screams good vibes only. Date 24th December 2025. Venue Good Pack near the Accra Mall. Time 8 p.m. till 8. Dress code, it's an all-white affair. Get ready for electrifying live performances from the Kinata. Perez music. In Chin Chin Band and DJ Mingle. Your best all-white fit. Bring your dancing shoes and let's light up the night together. Book your tables now. Call 0205-973-973 or 0558-973-973. It's Christmas Eve. Don't miss it. The Situation All-White Party 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV and 97.3 City FM, and it's proudly sponsored by Kpandai, Bethel Logistics, and Hallmark Cafe, and supported by Oswald Investments Limited. Unbelievable. Send your happy city and dear Amama Kai or baby and home fair. Wow! Hello, Miss World.
Hello, Ajimara.
Now I hear now what to say.
Me who yo, madam for be ho e wakase. Me ne ye nneema do so.
Me nya na nka me wogana. Me so me talk. Me na wiasia na mabepie electronic shop bi a kire se. Send your happy city no. Na ohunfo nyini ene hwa mani so say. Me ba better gold, diamond, jewels, nickels, pearls, blinkers, everything. I'm a girl.
Chimera of international waters. Hey.
Wow.
Obwa, onye bochiri bia.
Obwa wani breno.
Yankwana no bocho.
Ha! Eti abroche nani?
Sister, Electroland Ghana Limited showroom for Krani. Kasi Kumase, Omo when you say Samsung, TCL, Media, and a NASCO product. I don't know when you go through. Omo, I'm able to say Kaswa, Ashamai, Makasim, Tamale, Sprinters, Coca-Cola.
It's me na kaba to you kutu dia so me say bam.
Me private jet no kwa. E be see me na me ba. Let's bygone be bygone. Hey, enima mo pese mo yiri wa ha bia. Muni
yo yebeyi.
Electroland Ghana, home of electronics and affordable luxury.
You're welcome back. This is The Big Issue. We are live on 97.3 City FM. We're on Channel 1 Television, on Channel 363 on DSTV. My name is Selorm Adonoo. A number of issues we are looking at this morning. Daddy Lumbe's funeral is being held in Kumasi. That's after all the legal matters concluded somewhat yesterday, paving the way for the funeral to be held today. We will go to Kumasi, right about now to speak to our man there just to have a sense of what's happening. Also, the Kpandai seat dispute, is it just a rerun or, of course, there are many issues or many meanings being read into the whole process. People think that Why rush to hold such an election when the processes haven't been fully exhausted? What happens if the election is run, somebody else wins, and the court processes also are resolved in favor of the other? What happens? Why don't we urge the court to deal with the matters expeditiously so that we can have a clean situation on our hands? But we'll delve into that. Also, the conduct of the MPs in question, the minority MPs, have been called into question. I mean, what we saw in the course of the week, trying to disrupt the process, whether they succeeded or not is another matter, is being condemned largely. We'll look at that and see if that indeed is part of the parliamentary process. There's also the discussion around the office of the special prosecutor. Mahama says that he does not think the office should be scrapped. They need some time, and he also called on them to expedite processes on cases and be efficient. Also, Okada has been legalized. We want to find out whether it's just a political pledge fulfilled or will require actually necessary regulation to deal with the menace we see on our roads. What does even regulation mean? Can they go everywhere? Can the Okada people go everywhere? Can they go to cantonments? Can they go to Laboni? Can they be at Ridge? Where can they be and what can they do? We understand they have to register. They have to be part of a union. We'll look at all of that. And so, very full plate we have this morning. Let's go to Kumasi and speak to our Middle Belt Bureau Chief, Hafiz Tijani, who is currently at the funeral grounds where Daddy Lumbe's funeral is being held. Hello, Hafiz. Good morning. Welcome to the big issue.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning, Selorm.
Great. This funeral has been, there's been a lot of controversy around the funeral. Finally, we are here today. What can you report? Has the funeral started? Who do you see there? Who are the people there? And where exactly is it being held?
Well, so the funeral is being held at the Heroes Park of the Barbara Sports Stadium. So like you mentioned, even as of 10 p.m. Last night, people were not so certain whether or not the funeral was going to come on. So even this morning at about 5 a.m. dawn, people were still coming here. Those who live close to the Heroes Park of the Barbara Sports Stadium came here to be certain or to confirm whether or not the event was going to come on following the controversies that surrounded or that emerged with the death of the late musicians. But at about 6 a.m. we saw that the body arrived and it was taken to where the decoration was being done and the body has been laid to rest. So currently the fans or the attendees of the funeral are filing past the body. They are in queues. The police officers are just trying to ensure that there's order here. They are putting all checks in place to ensure that people do not go out of bounds. And if we ask of people who are here, so we have all manner of people coming from different places, people coming from within Kumasi, people coming from within the Ashanti region, and others coming from even outside the Ashanti region, just to observe what is being done here at the Heroes Park of the Barbara Sports Stadium. We also saw the man who has been in the center of all these controversies, talk of the family head of Daddy Lumba, who is popularly called Tupac. He has been around, but the public has been given that chance or that opportunity to file past the body. Police officers are stationed, so when you go outside of the Heroes Park, the main street leading to the Barbara Sports Stadium, police officers have mounted snap checks at the vantage locations, trying to ensure that they control traffic and also control the movement of people within the area. And there's been a water cannon that have been stationed here outside of the main entrance or coming to the main entrance. Police officers have also erected several barricades at the main event ground, the inner perimeter, just to ensure that they control the movement of people, not only people who are attending, but also the media covering the event. So the police officers are also here. So you see behind me, there's this queue that is coming from the main entrance. So people who are now coming are expected to join the queue. Then they are ushered into the inner perimeter. Then they are taken to where they'll be seated and they would go and sit. But also when you go to the inner perimeter, you see a live event there, people trying to follow up with the live band music that is being played. So essentially the music of the late Daddy Lumba is being performed at the live band where the stage is being erected or mounted. So people are gathered there singing to the tunes. People are gathered there just having to catch a fun of the event, the fun side of the event. But others see today as very sorrowful day, a day of grief, a day of sadness, a day they will use to remember or maybe reflect on the life of the late musician. So it has been all good and well for people who were thinking that this court case was going to stop the funeral and they were not so certain about whether or not this event was going to come on. Most of them are now coming in and the place is getting packed up.
Round. I mean, Daddy Lumba himself, a superstar, you know, the superstar he was. Obviously, we have superstar colleagues. Have you seen musicians? Have you seen maybe politicians? Have you seen, I mean, what kinds of people are there? I mean, what kinds of people have you seen there so far?
Well, so because the event has not officially started, you are not seeing the dignitaries who were expected or who are expected to be here. I have seen the former member of parliament for the mention of Colin Soso Amankwa, who we are told is a family member of the late Daddy Lumba. So he is seated on stage, and we have other family members who have come. But the majority of people you see here are his fans, are his fan clubs or also fan clubs who are pro to Daddy Lumba, who have also come in wearing black attire draped with the pictures of Daddy Lumba and all that. So you see a lot of fans here. We are not seeing known figures, talk of the musicians coming yet because the event has not officially started. So maybe going through the afternoon, we are going to be seeing a lot of these people who will be joining in here.
Very well. The event, like you said, is really yet to start. But have you caught a glimpse of the widows now? I mean, they should obviously be seated amongst the family people. I mean, have you seen them? Have you seen anything, or have you seen where they have to sit? Have you seen anything like that?
Well, all these arrangements have been made, but we have not seen the widows yet seated at these places they are expected to sit. I have done my digging and have been told that Odobroni is around, just that she has not come to the ground. But Akosia Sewa, I'm told she's out of the country. That is the information we are getting. She's out of the country, and that she might not be able to make it up to the funeral. But Odobroni, we are told, is around, but she has not come to the funeral ground. But other family members, like I said, are around. Talk of the popular family head who is known as Tupac. He has come here and receiving a lot of applause. You know, even the fans were divided in terms of whether or not the family should, the funeral should come on. They were divided among themselves. So for those who are aligning to Tupac, the family head, they gave him a resounding welcome, a resounding applause as he even entered, trying to coordinate with some of the organizers of the event to see the success of this event today.
Very well. Thanks so much, Hafiz. We will come back to you again as and when we have to. So take care of yourself and be good. Thank you so much, Hafiz Tijani. Hafiz is our Middle Belt Bureau Chief. He is at the funeral for us, and he will bring in to us all we need to know about that particular big event of the legendary Daddy Lumba. So my guests this morning, Amanda Clinton, private legal practitioner; Andrew Ijapa Mesa, former MP, secondly, former Minister for Tourism; and a few other portfolios. Abraham Maliba, Director General, National Road Safety Authority and a member of the NDC. Dr. John Osai-Kwapon, Senior Research Fellow of the CDD, Ghana. And Franklin Kujo, President, Imani Africa. Gentlemen and lady, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, we start off with Kpandai. The Electoral Commission has announced that a rerun of the Kpandai constituency parliamentary election will be held on Tuesday, 30th of December 2025. The decision follows a ruling by the Tamale High Court on Monday, 24th November 2025, which ordered a rerun of the election within 30 days. The Commission also received formal notification from the Clerk of Parliament or to Parliament on Monday, December 8th, confirming that the parliamentary seat for Kpandai has become vacant. The rerun will be conducted exclusively for the 3 candidates who contested the 2024 parliamentary election in the constituency. The decision to hold a rerun has, however, drawn strong opposition from the New Patriotic Party. So I start off with the New Patriotic Party. Honorable Japamesa, he's been in Parliament for a number of terms. Welcome to the program, Honorable. What have you been doing out of Parliament and out of government, just briefly?
Well, let me say good morning to our cherished viewers and listeners and to my co-panelists. And to take this opportunity to wish 2 groups in Sekondi a happy 10th anniversary. You know, Sekondi is a masquerade capital of Ghana. And this time of year, as we prepare for Christmas, the Masquerades Festival is a big thing in the Sekondi Takoradi Enclave. Oil City Masqueraders is 10 years old today, and Latin Lead Band is also 10 years old today. And so I wish them very happy 10th anniversary. And
but the 2 groups were formed on the same day?
I suppose so.
I see.
Hopefully I will see you guys during the Christmas holidays. And I invite everybody who is listening and watching to us to make it a point to be in Sekondi Takoradi over the Christmas period. You're never going to regret. I had a private life before I went into politics. I was practicing law. I had a small law firm that I was running prior to my going into public service. And post that, when I exited, I've gone back to practice law. And so that's what I've been doing in the past 11 or so months, whilst I support my party on the communication front as well. So yes, that's what I've been doing.
I see. How did the Kpandai election petition judgment come to you? Obviously disappointed, but events afterwards may be more interesting to you. What's your take on that generally?
Of course. I mean, I was surprised at the decision that was handed down by the High Court. But that's certainly a conversation for another day. Because indeed and in fact, post the decision, the letter that emanated from the Office of the Clerk of Parliament to the Electoral Commission and the subsequent decision by the Electoral Commission to hold a rerun, I believe, on the 30th of January or so, is what is most surprising to me. I wonder the indecent haste that is informing the decision to conduct the rerun when the affected party, in this case Matthew Nyindam, has filed an application seeking for the orders of the High Court to be stayed. You see, we are a constitutional republic. We thrive on the rule of law. And I don't want to believe that rather than strengthening our institutions of state, this so-called reset that our friends in the NDC have been preaching about is rather intended to destroy our institutions. I say so because the rules of court are very clear. The Speaker of Parliament himself had occasion to make a determination on this subject matter. Of course, not in the same terms, in that what he pronounced on was whether the Member of Parliament had a right to attend Parliament in the immediate aftermath of the decision that was handed by the court. And he delivered a ruling on the 27th of November 2025, where he made reference to the Court of Appeal rules and indicated quite clearly the automatic stay provision that is embedded in those rules, and proceeded to say that within or after the 7-day automatic stay, if the affected party takes a further step, that in itself, okay, may extend the stay until it is determined by the Court of Appeal. And for the benefit of those who may not be aware of what the Speaker said, I have a copy of the Hansard here. And the Speaker said, in part, that in this instance, the ruling of the Tamale High Court, dated 24th November 2025, the statutory 7-day stay therefore remains in force until 1st December 2025. During this period, the ruling of the High Court cannot form the basis for the Speaker to instruct the Clerk of Parliament to notify the Electoral Commission that the Kpandai seat is vacant. In addition to the above, should Mr. Nyindam exercise his right of appeal, such as an application under Rule 27(1)(b) of CI 19, it may impose a further suspension on the enforcement of the judgment until the application is determined by the appropriate court. This rule appears to prevent the subject matter of the appeal from being altered or prejudiced while the appeal processes are pending. Indeed, the Rule 27 that the Speaker makes reference to says this, if you permit me. Effect of appeal. That's the heading of Rule 27. And I'll read 2. When an application is pending for determination under sub-rule 1 of this rule, any proceedings for execution of the judgment or decision to which the application relates shall be stayed.
Take that again.
27 sub-rule 2. When an application is pending for determination under sub-rule 1, and sub-rule 1 is where you file an application for stay, right? Of this rule, any proceedings for execution of the judgment or decision to which the application relates shall be stayed. Now, people think or they suggest that because 27 has been amended, okay, that amendment affects the entirety of 27. But indeed and in fact, CI 132 that amends Rule 27 only amends 27 sub Rule 1. And if you permit me, I'll read it. The Court of Appeal Rules 1997 CI 19, referred to in this enactment as the principal enactment, is amended in sub Rule 27 by A, the substitution of sub Rule 1 of, and it goes on. An appeal shall not operate as a stay of execution under the judgment or decision appealed against unless the court otherwise orders on an application made to the court by motion or notice. Now, the effect of this is that immediately you file an application, before it is even determined by the court, all processes of execution ought to be stayed. The reason is very simple, and the Speaker himself alluded to it, that this rule appears to prevent the subject matter of the appeal from being altered or prejudiced while the appeal processes are pending. I've read academics, civil society organization actors write extensively on social media on this subject matter. How then is it the case that the Speaker of Parliament allows the clerk, in the light of these express provisions of the law, to write to the Electoral Commission to proceed with the rerun. How? Look, we in the MPP really, yes, we would love to have the seat, but already we are down. And so losing it is really not the issue. So it's not a question of MPP being afraid of a rerun. Because after all, if we go into a rerun and then NDC wins, they are happy to have a so-called supermajority that I really don't know what they need it for. Of course, 2 days ago, the speculation in the minds of many people has been put to rest by the statement that the chairman of the NDC himself has issued, that they're not going to support any attempt by anybody to promote any third term amendment of the constitution. Of course, we know the processes that an entrenched provision of the constitution has to go through before amendment. You have to go to a referendum where 40% of the registered voters ought to turn out, and you ought to have 75% or so of people voting yes. Before you then go to parliament, where you need the supermajority that they always sing about, okay, to effect whatever changes that there are. Otherwise, every decision in parliament, of course, when it comes to the removal of the president, it's never going to happen. That's when they need the so-called supermajority. Or the removal of the speaker is never going to happen.
The speaker is forfeit.
It's not going to happen. And then also when they have to censure or remove any of their ministers, I'm not so sure whether they will do it. Every other decision in parliament requires only a simple majority. So all you need is a 138 or 139. But they want every seat in parliament. I don't have too much difficulty about it. It's just a principle. If we say we are a country of laws, why do we flagrantly breach the law in such manner?
So let's look at the amendment in 132 again, CI 132. It says the Court of Appeal Rules 1997, CI 19, referred to in this enactment as a principal enactment is amended in Rule 27 by a substitution of sub Rule 1 of, and it becomes an appeal shall not operate as a stay of execution under the judgment or decision appealed against unless the court otherwise orders on an application made to the court by motion or notice. So the second part of this, unless otherwise orders, the court orders on an application. Does that not presuppose that an application or notice must be made and an order of the court must also be made in reference or in respect of staying the execution? And so does this not mean that the mere filing of an application or notice for stay of execution would not, operate as stay? Is that not what it means?
That's why you don't have to read the provisions in isolation. And so it goes further. And CI 132 did not amend or revoke sub rule 2 of CI 19. Right? Sub rule 2 of CI 19 says that when an application is pending prior to determination, prior to any orders being made by the court for determination under sub rule 1 of this rule, any proceedings for execution of the judgment or decision to which the application relates shall be stayed. So the court itself recognizes that to prevent rendering the decision of the court nugatory or prejudiced, it's important to preserve the status quo until the determination of the application by the court. And whilst the application is pending, prior to its decision, all processes leading to execution must, it's a mandatory provision, shall be stayed. That's the rule. Sub rule 2 has not been amended. It's not been revoked. It's still in force. So you ought to read the substitution in sub rule 1 in CI 132 with the parent enactment in CI 19. That's the law.
CI 19, 27, 2.
Yes. It's clear.
I see.
So what is it that we are doing to our country?
Let me test that. Let me test that with Lawyer Clinton. So yes, this is the contention really, that because a stay of execution application has been filed on notice, all other processes towards the execution of the Tamale High Court judgment should be stayed. So this, this is appearing to be the problem. Where do you stand on this?
I don't necessarily support the reasoning because as a lawyer, I think we should cast our minds back to 2021, 2022, where there was the issue of a vacant seat. And the Speaker in particular said that only Parliament, not the Supreme Court, has the authority to declare a parliamentary seat vacant under Article 97. So if Parliament previously held that not even the Supreme Court can force a vacancy declaration, then it is constitutionally incoherent to say that a High Court ruling subject to appeal automatically vacates a seat without parliamentary deliberation. Furthermore, my stand on this is that the Speaker once took a very principled position, same Speaker, that courts interpret Article 97, but Parliament controls vacancies. That position protects parliamentary autonomy. The question now is, what has changed? You cannot downgrade Parliament's authority when it suits you and then upgrade it when it doesn't suit you, because consistency is the backbone of constitutionality. And if the Supreme Court couldn't declare a seat vacant then, a High Court certainly cannot do so now. And I say that because in December 2021, the Supreme Court held that certain MPs had forfeited their seat by operation of law under Article 97(1), and that Parliament was bound by the constitutional consequences. However, the court did not itself administratively declare the seat vacant. It interpreted Article 97 and stated the legal effect. So therefore, I just think that when it comes to the Speaker, you can't downgrade Parliament's authority when it suits you and then respectively upgrade it when it doesn't suit you.
It's interesting, very interesting points you've raised. So Parliament is subject to the laws of the land as one.
Yes.
And Parliament does not declare the seats vacant in a vacuum.
Yes.
Parliament must do so, putting together everything.
Yeah.
So there's a determination by the High Court which says that the seats, there should be a rerun, which invariably means that, the seat should be vacant before the rerun can be made.
Yes.
Now, the same laws of the state also say that if there are motions, for example, a stay of execution application, as we've just seen in CI 19 and CI 132, the decision must be stayed until that motion is disposed of, or an order of the court is made maybe to the contrary.
Of course.
So Parliament must make the determination about the vacancy of the seat, together with all these surrounding circumstances. So the fact that a court determines that there should be a rerun, and so the mandatory 7 days stay of execution period elapses, doesn't necessarily mean also that Parliament should quickly declare the seat vacant. That is the difficulty that we are having in this case. So yes, you are right, but Parliament does so together with other rules. And so Parliament cannot close its eye on the provisions of the CI when, again, it suits it, and if it doesn't suit it, it's quiet on it.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, what we're setting here is precedent. So if back then, 2021, 2022, the Speaker was adamant because he knew that this would set a precedent, it would be a slippery slope, separation of powers, everything was at play. So he really took a stand as to how even the Supreme Court can't declare the seat vacant, etc., because he knew, and lo and behold, we're now in 2025, that this moment would come. And then when this moment has come, he's chosen to say, okay, well, even the High Court can do it, and then, runs to the EC, etc. But ultimately, let us remember that with Article 93(2), parliamentary autonomy Parliament shall have the power to make standing orders for the regulation of its own proceedings. So the court interprets and Parliament administers. And what I would urge, NDC leaders and everybody to really think about for the future is that politics does not exist in a vacuum. And why other countries are so successful, perhaps, is because they think about law, policy, politics 200 years, 300 years in advance. You see what I mean? And here we are down the road, 2021, 2022, made a certain decision. 2025, you're about to erode everything you've said, which you rightly said at the time, because it suits you. So what happens if, God forbid, NDC goes out of power in 8 years' time, and then you yourself will come to set this precedent?
God forbid.
No, but in terms of, I'm trying to be, you know what I mean? I'm trying to be, like, I'm not one side or the other.
That's right.
But what happens if in 8 years' time, you, the same people, go out of power, and then all the things you've said about the Chief Justice and, how she can be gotten rid of, all the things you've said about vacancy of seat, even a high court now can make that declaration and you will just rubber stamp it. It will meet you in 8 years' time or 4 years' time or 16 years' time or whatever. So we have to think that when we set precedents, and that's why I handled this differently when I started speaking. I just went back to the precedent. Because if a precedent has been set and everybody realized what was about to happen, even the Supreme Court themselves
but precedent
did not declare the seat vacant.
What I mean is that there's a CI, which is an order, regulation, or in the hierarchy of laws. Will you put precedent ahead of a CI? A constitutional instrument?
I will put precedent over it because the precedent didn't exist in a vacuum. The precedent existed because the Supreme Court...
And the precedent, mind you, is a judicial decision.
It's a judicial decision. But in that judicial decision, they were also considering the separation of powers. Whereas the Supreme Court did not want to say, we declare this seat vacant. They just said, we're going to interpret the law because they realized their particular function. And then the Supreme Court themselves said, well, technically, we are the only ones who can say a seat is declared vacant. Do you see what I mean? So everybody was thinking about the separation of powers.
Yeah, so my difficulty with the point is the declaration of the vacancy of the seat cannot happen in a vacuum. Speaker doesn't wake up one morning to come and say, guys, honorable members, seat number A is declared vacant. Something must trigger that. So the point we're making is that the High Court decision triggered the vacancy, but the judge in the High Court could not say that therefore this seat is vacant. That is been reserved for the Speaker, and the Speaker must do so in reasonable time. In fact, the Speaker cannot actually wait in perpetuity in making that determination once the High Court has declared the seat is ordered for a rerun. So once that determination has been made, there are other things as well which can hold that process. There's an appellate process. Of course, filing the notice of appeal alone does not operate as a stay. That is why you file a notice of stay of execution or notice.
Of course.
And we've seen from the rules that filing should operate as a stay. That is where the contention is.
Yes.
And the Parliament must be subject to the rules of the state.
It does, but again, I think it would be very interesting if this perhaps was visited by the Supreme Court.
But it's clear, isn't it?
Yes, no, but let them go to the Supreme Court because the same Supreme Court who made that decision in 2021, 2022 can also revisit it. That's number one. But again, it is about Parliament. Let us go back to what the Speaker said. He literally said that,
When the recent one or 2021?
No, the Speaker took the principled position that courts interpret Article 97, but Parliament controls vacancy. But my ultimate point in all this is not to get lost in semantics, but you can't downgrade Parliament's authority when it suits you and then upgrade it when it doesn't.
But who's downgrading it and who wants to upgrade it?
In terms of at the time, he said, when Parliament made its interpretation, he said, well, no, it is Parliament who decides when a seat is vacant or not. Even though the Supreme Court had made its interpretation, he was like, no, it is Parliament who does. And then there was there was a stalemate And it rested there, ultimately, right?
But Parliament actually declared the seat vacant, but with the MPs not in court, so it means that other Parliament made perhaps was ultra virus because the people kept coming to Parliament. The issue of the 4 seats, they kept coming to Parliament because Speaker's ruling did not nullify the law as stated or as put down by the Supreme Court.
And then we had an election, so then the whole thing was moved.
But they were coming they were around, they were still MPs, they were carrying themselves.
Were they allowed to,
they were holding themselves out as MPs.
As holding themselves out, were they allowed to vote and did their vote count?
Parliament really didn't sit because a lot of things, but they were not hounded out of Parliament. They were MPs, properly so called. But just rest your thoughts. Let me come to, of course, Franklin Kuduri is on and Dr. Osei Kwapon is also on.
Despite all, so I yes washing powder see you. Me who are Nana India, Yabi Shop and one can see East Legon and Secretary Keep It Loud. Doctor MS Orisa. Yes, see you. I'm a special group of companies for Rutu Dimbi. I know it. Yes, so but who told us champion of the former blaster player? This one hotel now says to be this one hotel. Doctor say come in this part Lebanon. Doctor MS Orisa. The incomparable, the matchless and silent CEO of this group of companies. Who make one is the executive giving up for now. That's right. Yeah, one guarantee I can see you. Yami Shawate. What's it? Right. Yes, the prince. Yes, Yami Shapa. That's why I said move to so that we go help me up. Yes. Ne no more was just so when I mean about produce sa. So Okada the lumba. No I'm not despite. Eddie Ankawa. Now they said the work of Pentecost I will mother CDA. And they said what to low Nadia could be a barber shop in Jamaica. And now when you are more to my one shower on the mistake here. Yes, Sarah Katema. Producers also. Now so much another one before. Or break up at the Mamma Tanda. Or 13 man better boom. What we go send to Nanum. The matchless and sizeless. Production and your soldier man and the doctor say Kwame Despite and why your food marshal and your policeman why IGP Chinese everyone can Eltama the miraculous Amirandos. Mami Yamin Shrawati and then Yamete Kwasibi Fanka Wati. Doctor or say Kwame Despite. I Ube Upa and Kadana MPC. And in the area of Brazil, a fantastic clap of that Lumba. Back house of and as Mutumu family, I branch every Bamin Chow Hamame Huno. And in the area, me Pacho and in the area of Brazil, Obi Space, Ababe, Obi Space, Ababe, Obi Space. We and your mamma Jan Wakasodia die. House of DL Fan Club, House of DL Fan Club, opening on your mission. And it has so home will be God richly bless you. Yes. And in the area of Brazil, Sarakatema. Yes. Me pacho mumia kwem amu and omubefa the remains of His Excellency, the incomparable, the matchless and sizeless Daddy Lumba. I'm not in any ketwa. And in the area of Brazil, me pamuchao answer the Obama Daddy Lumba Munusono. The great NS Oruwa Hine Champion, aka Nane Champion. And so person to you back when you get in your pine. Me pacho was so person to you back when you get in your pine. Ghana, her life
law also stays the decision. So I'm thinking that the 30-day operation may be triggered after these processes have been exhausted. Couldn't the EC have acknowledged receipt of the clerk's letter, but also raise the issue of the CI as we have seen here?
It's not borne out in this constitution. So if the clerk informed the EC too is mandated
to do so within 30 days.
To also follow what the constitution says. And you notice that the Tamale people, the petitioners were
they've cited
calling
EC for contempt.
For contempt. Maybe it will abate because she has quickly, you know. So these matters are strict to the extent that your Supreme Court rules and then your other rules, which are lesser laws,
cannot trump the Constitution.
Which are lesser laws, cannot undo what the constitution says. You get our point. So,
but is this a clerical matter? Do you see what I mean? Is it merely clerical?
No, I'm not sure. But wait, let's go. Wait.
You understand?
Let's go down your point.
You understand?
Let's go the points down. I see you're itching to make a comment. But
there's no clerical matter. There's no lacuna in this.
We are doing constitutional law here.
Yes,
and to some extent administrative law, but more of constitutional law. You are saying that when the EC receives those processes filed, she says that I am in receipt of processes filed, so my hands are tied. Where does it show in this constitution that when the EC receives those processes, she is bound to stay her hands off?
I see.
It doesn't show.
Let me wait. Let
wait. Before you bring your other guest in, it's important.
I'm talking about the constitution, not the CI and those things.
I'm going to refer to the constitution.
Right.
You see, let's draw a clear distinction between tenure of office of members on the 97 and determination of membership on the 99. Okay. Now, 97 on tenure of members says that a member of parliament shall vacate his seat in parliament A upon the dissolution of parliament. Or B, if he is elected as Speaker of Parliament, or C, if he is absent without the permission in writing of the Speaker and he is unable to offer a reasonable explanation to the Parliamentary Committee,
or if he is expelled from Parliament.
That is separate from where you are determining the validity of the outcome of an election. On that 99. 99 says that the High Court shall have jurisdiction to hear and determine any question whether a person has been validly elected as a member of parliament or the seat of the member has become vacant, or B, a person has been validly elected as a speaker of parliament or having been so elected has vacated the office of speaker. It goes further to say that 2, a person aggrieved by the determination of the High Court under this article may appeal to the Court of Appeal. Martin Yindam's case falls squarely within the ambit of Article 99, where the High Court has made a determination as to the validity of the outcome of an election. He is aggrieved and has gone to the High Court, the Court of Appeal, to file processes. If he does so, what rule triggers? Is it not a Court of Appeal rules? Why are we doing this?
But why does it say that?
Why are we doing this?
When you file an appeal,
look. But certainly, the rules are clear. We've read 27.
When you file an appeal, it doesn't stop the process.
Are you saying that?
If you file an appeal,
are you saying that by filing
it doesn't operate as a stay?
Yes.
But the same rules say when you file an application for stay, all processes ought to be stayed until the application is determined. This is subject to ambiguity.
And I'm saying,
is this rule? Does it provide any lacuna or clerical error?
No, his point is that
out of the constitution.
His point is
out of what constitution?
His point is that if we can, his point is that the constitution is laid it out clearly that if a vacancy occurs.
I didn't read from the Bible or the Quran.
No, if a vacancy occurs,
I read from the constitution.
The speaker will make that determination or will announce that. Clerk writes to the EC. EC within 30 days will conduct an election. The point he's making is that these people are just following what the constitution says. So if you fail to follow it, you'll be in contempt of the constitution.
How so?
Yes.
See. That's why I drew a clear distinction between 97 and 99. This is a matter.
But the determination by the High Court made that seat vacant, right? That is, the gentleman was not validly elected, and the consequential effect is that the seat is vacant. Is that not the case?
That consequential effect can only occur after the Court of Appeal has made a determination. Because the Constitution says when you are aggrieved, go to the Court of Appeal. If you go to the Court of Appeal, you file an appeal, and you file a motion for stay, the rules of court establishes the procedure that ought to carry through.
But what's the status quo now as we speak now? What has become of the seat? Can Martin Ninjam go to Parliament?
So the High Court decision has been stayed by operation of the rules. So the seat is not vacant. That's the point that I'm making.
It can only be vacant when a final determination has been made by the Court of Appeal.
Very well. Let me
That's
now the lawyers and politicians have spoken. Wait, let me take the views of civil society and governance people. Franklin, good morning. Welcome to the program. Good to have you as always.
You see what people can do.
This is quite interesting. Both sides quoting from the Constitution and the laws. What is your thinking around the whole of this?
If all these processes are filed, does it stay?
Franklin.
But that's exactly what happens.
Okay, no. Okay, let me speak to Dr. Sekwapong. Doc, good morning. Good to have you. From the governance standpoint, what is your understanding of the rules as espoused by the panelists in the studio?
Good morning, and good morning to the other panelists in the studio. I think I've been left even more confused because I recall that when the issue emerged, and then the disagreement over whether the clerk hastily wrote to the EC and whether you should wait for all of the processes to be completed. I did ask a colleague friend of mine that I needed some legal education on what happens to those subsequent processes when someone then files an appeal and a stay of execution against the High Court's ruling. Does it mean that the clerk should have waited, or does the EC then have to wait till all of those processes are complete before then the EC can say, now I can do this rerun? Or even if you take a step back, everything should have been completed through the appellate process before the clerk could have even written to the EC. And as I listen to Honorable Ejapai, I'm realizing that there's even the lawyers have divergent opinions on what the Constitution says and what it doesn't say, and how you operationalize all these things and reconcile it. For me, the biggest thing that I've been reflecting on is why the judges' cure for the electoral integrity issues that happen in Kpandai is a complete rerun of the entire constituency. Yes, when you read all the facts of the case and everything, there's acknowledgement that things happen in about, I think, a number of polling stations had some real issues, legal infractions and all of that. And so if I think back to, for example, the Baba Jamal case, the precedent that was set there, the cure for what had happened or what had gone wrong was rerunning in just those problematic polling stations. Or even if we think back to 2024, and one of the constituencies in Ablikuma, where there was an administrative decision by the EC to rerun in a number of polling stations because that was where the issues were. I'm just not. I was taken a little aback to see that the judge's remedy was, look, just rerun the entire thing. Yes, when you read the conclusion of what came out of the High Court, the suggestion seems to be, if these areas were problematic that we've been able to document, what about the rest where we were not even able to document that? It sort of cast a shadow on the entire election and therefore rerun the entire thing. I, again, felt that it should have been a little more constrained and restricted to the places where, there was evidentiary support that there were problems there.
So Amaliba is telling us that it was about the collation. The collation
was done. Yes. Tamale moved from Kpandai to Tamale, and he didn't have a representation there. It was done devoid of him. So that's why. So apart from those polling stations, the other ones were as a result of he not being made to have a representation during the coalition in Tamale.
I see. So that I'm sure that answers your question.
Yeah. So then I guess because of those two circumstances, the moving of the coalition center and the declaration in the absence of the NDC candidate as well as his representatives then sort of cast a doubt on the entire thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Franklin is back. Franklin, good to have you. We were just looking at this issue about the rerun and the matters arising. It's becoming purely a legal matter. From a civil society standpoint and governance standpoint, what's your take? Wait till all processes are done before you write to the EC, or follow the constitution as we are seeing here?
Well, good morning, my good friends, both online as well as in studio. For me, let me ask a question though. So whether it was declared vacant or not, if the ruling had been the way it is right now, and says that it should be freshly run, what does that connote? Does it mean that if you don't declare the seat vacant, what's the difference between declaring a seat vacant and actually going to rerun for the same seat? I guess that's the question I'm asking. So either way, I need help.
The seat has to be declared.
I don't understand it.
The seat has to be declared vacant before you can run it, and declaration of the seat vacant is to be done by the speaker. That's the procedure. After the speaker does so, the clerk writes to the EC, which conducts the election, and within 30 days should do that.
Okay, then the matters are solved then. Because if the MPP agrees that the seat, there should be a rerun, unless they are saying that there shouldn't be a rerun. If there should be a rerun, then therefore what you just described to me would have occurred before the rerun. But I suspect that this MPP's point really, which is a valid, very, very valid point really, is that what's the point in running the whole election, really? I mean, if you look at the history of that particular constituency, it's a very hotly contested. I think the gentleman from the MPP is really, must be a very good candidate, extremely good candidate, because he's been doing quite well, right? And to think that, I mean, and anybody doing this must take into consideration all of these dynamics anyway. But I'm not going to say that the judge needed to advert his mind to, or her mind to, the fact that the seat is a very contentious seat. What I'm trying to say is that because of the nature of the politics that have gone on and the fact that the seat was contested, yeah, I mean, is it neck and neck, neck on neck, whatever, I've forgotten the expression. What it essentially means here is that, look, if I were a judge, and I'm not a judge, I probably wouldn't rule the way I rule, because I don't see the point. Look, you understand what I'm saying? So run a thing in the so-called areas. I don't buy the argument that, oh, there were some other infractions. But that, which is the next one I'm coming to, the collation issues and the rest, which tells me that the fourth of this whole process was actually the Electoral Commission. You know, we always said that the whole Electoral Commission is, I mean, the fact that they allow this to happen is, they should be chastised. You understand? So I feel that I feel bad about the whole process. I feel that it's a disservice to the candidate who won, and I hope that he wins again. Really, of course, if he wins, that's fine. I don't know whether NDC wants to carry all these majority people. It's they want to take buy one get one free. I don't even know what they want. But whatever it is, Amaliba, what do you want? You want to get buy one constituency get another one free? Sorry.
Injected water before.
He's asking whether the sea has the seed in all its abundance. It will still take in more water if you give it. That's the point he's making.
Well, it depends if the sea has a lot of debris that the water has a lot of debris that the sea doesn't want. I mean, if you look at the estuary, anyway, let's not get into
all right. I mean, that's fine.
What I'm trying to say here is that at the end of the day, for me, I feel that and I'm saying that I would have ruled differently if I were a judge, taking all the steps. Probably because I have to rule by the law, but there's also something called, judges have to be a bit bold. Maybe he or she didn't know the circumstances of this particular seat. If I were a judge, I would definitely rule differently. But anyway,
the judge will make the decision based on the evidence available and the rules within which he has to work.
But the point is that, Chief, that went for some few areas, right? Is that not the point? Right? Is that not the point? So, and I'm saying that, whatever it is. Let's not belabor the point. But I'm just trying to say that being a hotly contested seat, now the dynamics have changed. Now there's a government that won. Now at time won, and they're in government. I know the NPC will do everything within their power to make sure that people vote for them, so that they can say incumbency advantage. People want to, they'll say, oh, this guy, well, he's good, but what will he do for us? As if the mere fact that you are a ruling government, you get goodies. It doesn't work that way. I think the people should vote their conscience, and if they want to vote, I'm not interfering, but they should vote for the MPP guy. Thank you.
Yes, you don't seem to agree that the clerk was in a haste to write to the EC. Is that a point?
I don't agree, because I think parliamentary deliberation really matters. You know, vacancies follow finality, not haste. Because if we accept this automatic vacancy, right, at first instance, it means that any MP can lose a seat politically, permanently, appeals become meaningless, and parliamentary stability potentially collapses. And deliberation in this case matters because declaring a seat vacant is not, in my opinion, clerical. It affects representation of constituencies, voting strengths, democratic rights of votes, etc. So constitutional practice requires final legal determination and formal parliamentary recognition, because if you skip this step, it collapses the appeals rights, separation of power, and parliamentary autonomy. So for me, I just think that parliamentary deliberation matters.
So what parliamentary deliberation in this circumstance?
Well, in these circumstances, for instance, the clerk not just rushing to file his clerical position, but for instance, this going to the Supreme Court first, and the Supreme Court, particularly I think during LGBTQ rights, etc., they tabled it very quickly because out of policy and national interest, etc. They tabled it like the next day or the next week, things like that. So this is a very critical matter that the Supreme Court can, for instance, even table by next Wednesday and determine it. But I really think parliamentary deliberation matters, because what we're seeing here, apart from this seat, is that we're setting a precedent. And if we're looking at representations of constituencies, voting strengths, democratic rights of votes, then all of a sudden appeals become meaningless, and any MP can lose politically, their seat permanently. At first instance.
If I'm hearing you, you are saying that the clerk, before writing, should have taken cognizance of the other matters, the matters filed before court and all of that. And so now that he has written, it triggers the process, but he should have waited. Is that the point you're making?
He should have waited, and on a practical level, this is to do with public interest. The seats, the fact that this was, this is an elected seat, etc. So waiting in this instance means that this would have been tabled, for instance, at the Supreme Court by next week, because you can push these matters right to it's the first thing that's heard, because of the sensitivity, because of the time lock, and because we can't all wait indefinitely for endless processes before the seat is declared vacant. So if this is tabled, you know what I mean, it's a longer process for me, and parliamentary deliberation matters because these are not just seats, but they represent constituencies and voting strength, and that is what we should
But you see, I don't see how these officers have the laxity to wait, because they are timed by the Constitution. They say that 7 days.
Which provision?
Article 125. They say within 7 days, and you are saying that that person should do what? Then it says that 30 days you should. Before the vacancy, after the vacancy, you must do your by-election. You are bound by time.
Yes, but the point is that the vacancy hasn't been occasioned properly, so-called, because steps have been taken to arrest it.
Absolutely.
So as we speak, the seat is not vacant.
Says who?
The court has
That is what somebody now should go to court.
Yes, the court has made a
That's why
determination.
I'm saying that. That's where somebody can now go to court, Supreme Court, and bring finalities to this matter. That if a vacancy occurs such as this, under this Constitution, does the filing of processes stay the occurrence of the vacancy.
But
let the court pronounce on that. But until then, you are asked to act within 7 days.
No, but wait.
You are asked to act within 30 days.
You know, if you go to court, you file processes, the CI is clear, the CI is clear. The Constitution cannot say everything. Else we have Constitution which is as big as the law report or even bigger, because it will have to say everything. The Constitution cannot, it only lays out the broad framework and also makes room for the little gaps to be filled by CI and other instruments, which is what CI 19, CI 47, etc. You know, we see them do. You don't see CI, you don't see Constitution saying some of the things CI 47 will say. What is important is that the CIs must flow with the Constitution. They must not contradict the Constitution. All right. So if the seat has been declared vacant, quote unquote, or a rerun is occasioned, that rerun makes it vacant. But it's for good reason that the Constitution says it's Parliament or the Speaker that makes the determination. Okay. So the Speaker ought to be conversant with the circumstances surrounding the matter. That okay, even though
I can't see the speaker
wait,
here.
it's not everything you see.
There's no speaker here.
So Parliament is all. What's the name? But the speaker, the clerk does so.
When the framers of the Constitution wanted to mention people's names,
they do. Okay,
they did. They weren't sleeping when they got here.
The clerk. So the clerk ought to have known the circumstances surrounding the matter. That, for example, even though the court has ruled that it should be a rerun, that status quo, the status quo ought to remain because some intervening factors have arisen, i.e., the filing of a stay of execution application, which we have seen by law operates as a stay. So everybody's hand should be held. Let the court expeditiously deal with that matter, then we can proceed.
I think I should use the word. Those people have no discretionary powers here.
The clerk.
Under 1125. So they haven't been given such discretionary powers.
Let's read one.
They have no.
Let me read it so that everybody hears here. Whenever a vacancy occurs in Parliament, the clerk to Parliament shall notify the Electoral Commission in writing within 7 days after the vacancy occurred, and a by-election shall be held within 30 days after the vacancy occurred.
Do you have discretion?
Okay, can I?
Do you have discretion on this matter?
Turn that on its head. If even a
Don't
final,
turn anything on its head.
no, 2021,
there's no
2022.
discretion given to those officers.
May I? If in 2021, 2022, if even a final Supreme Court interpretation did not automatically vacate a seat, a High Court ruling subject to appeal certainly cannot.
What's the point?
Meaning that if in 2021, 2022, a Supreme Court decision, the same speaker, not even a different speaker, but the same speaker said a Supreme Court interpretation did not automatically vacate a seat, then why should the same speaker say all of a sudden a High Court ruling?
Because the Parliament clerk, I won't say speaker, because Parliament or clerk
started the process.
They did not write to the EC announcing the vacancy.
Yeah, but my point is,
the seat was not declared
but this does not exist in a vacuum. That clerk shouldn't have done so because the clerk does not operate in a vacuum. You know what I mean? They speak to the speaker, they know what's happening. It doesn't operate in a vacuum. And this is real life. This is real seats. These are seats that are voted for. These are seats that are, it's public. This is a public. It's not just a seat.
It was for nothing that the EC was being hauled to court for contempt.
So, Ejapa, 1125 appears to make things quite tight.
No, not at all.
That a clerk to Parliament shall. I'm just throwing it to you.
It's true.
Shall notify the EC in writing within 7 days after the vacancy occurred. So your point is, the vacancy occurred but had been arrested. So as we speak, no vacancy has occurred because of the processes filed.
Absolutely.
That's the point.
Indeed, and in fact, the Speaker himself, only on 27 November 2025, said this, and I'll read it again. In addition to the above, should Mr. Nindam exercise his right of appeal, such as an application under Rule 27(1)(b) of CI 19, it may impose a further suspension of the enforcement of the judgment of the court until the application is determined by the appropriate court.
But doesn't that mean that right to be exercised?
So the suspension
will be
of the judgment
order of the court.
No, the suspension of the judgment of the High Court is triggered when you file an application for stay at the Court of Appeal. And Rule 27(2) is categorical. See, let's not throw away
don't compare the constitution.
Let's not throw away our jurisprudence. Let's not throw away our jurisprudence. It's important. The reason why, and the speaker said it again, that the purpose of this rule, the purpose of the appellate process, is not to prejudice the outcome, the stay. It's for good reason that we have an appeal process all the way to Supreme Court, because we recognize in our jurisprudence that one judge may be wrong, and so give an opportunity for 3 people to also evaluate the same matter and come out. In fact, even if you are not satisfied with the 3, of course, in election petition matters of this nature, Court of Appeal is the end, right? That's where you terminate the entire processes. Why can't we allow our jurisprudence to evolve and develop and await the outcome of the Court of Appeal?
The solution to this matter is to go for interpretation.
There is no constitutional interpretation.
The question.
The rules are very clear.
Does the vacancy still exist if processes of this nature are filed, or the vacancy does not exist? Then let the Supreme Court make a pronouncement on it. Then we can now move on.
But if the Constitution says in Article 99, right?
Is there a difference?
That where a person is aggrieved with the decision of the High Court,
there's no old and new Supreme Court.
He should go to the Court of Appeal. What does it mean? And Selorm, you said it aptly.
Yes,
the only problem is that our judges,
all these provisions for the Court of Appeal rules to then take effect.
You see,
but want to throw it away? Me, I've said it all. It's the country is for all of us.
I also think that
we develop it for the benefit of posterity. We need to do things right. I've said. I'm also sure we are, as a party, worried about that. I disagree with the judgment, but I'm prepared to go through the judicial process to vindicate our position rather than this, thing that we are doing to ourselves. It's not right. You know it. I know it.
You see, there are some cases, in my view, that the Supreme Court must take seriously and determine them quickly. There are such matters in this country where the Supreme Court deals with them as ordinary cases. But in the US, some matters are taken off quickly and dealt with because of the impact it has.
But yeah, so the 3 arms must be talking, right? So for example, if Speaker calls or talks to his colleague CJ that this is the situation at hand, can we have an expeditious resolution to this? I'm sure something could happen.
Because these matters can be dealt with so that it will not create these ripples that we are seeing.
So we can have it heard and determined. Maybe the reasons will be made available later, so that we have clarity. But the question
our constitutional history is replete with these matters,
which are dealt with expeditiously.
Yeah, some expeditiously, some to they drag it all through.
The dragging is what we don't
want. Absolutely.
That's
the reason why post 2012. Subsequent election petitions took a shorter period. It's the evolution.
Great.
But
let me come to you. Won't it be worrying if, for example, we go through the election and then the NDC candidate now wins, Court of Appeal now later determines that
the High Court was wrong,
didn't lose, or the election was regularly done, or was wrong. What happens? What happens? The election will be held again.
It's victory you cannot enforce. Why?
They have victory of the court you cannot enforce.
Yeah, you cannot enforce. Why? Haven't they reinstated people and they can go there, the office is occupied by somebody?
No, but what I mean is election would have been done.
I'm saying that's my answer to you. You don't understand.
No, the election has been done. So many people have voted.
Yes.
And now elected the NDC candidate.
Yes.
And the court says the previous election they did was correct.
Yes.
So what happens? So Nyindam now, even though has a court victory, will not be in office because somebody else is there.
Because what took place was so lawful under the Constitution.
But would that be fair to who? To him and the people who voted?
We as a people did not streamline our laws. And that is the things you are seeing.
Abraham, I'm surprised.
This is a big issue. This is a big issue.
And that's why you are seeing.
0.3 City FM. We're looking at the matter of the Kpandai seat.
There's no victory. You get your victory. You can't
interesting thoughts coming from my guest. A few messages you've also sent through. This one from Togbe says, refer to the 2024 ruling by the Supreme Court, which clearly shifted the power to declare the seat vacant to the court and no more Parliament. The same MPP went to the Supreme Court to invoke its jurisdiction to interpret whether Parliament can declare a seat vacant or must act based on the orders of the court. Okay, this is from Dobu. All right, so of course we must also, okay, this other one from, this other one says, good morning, sir. Per the Supreme Court ruling, the mere filing of a stay doesn't automatically injunct a constitutional body to stop its duties. So asking the EC to stop work because of an injunction application has no legal basis. That's why Akufo-Addo signed the e-levy bill. At the time, there was an application for injunction under MPP. Enough of the double standard and mischief. Well, it's not an application for injunction, it's a stay of execution. The two are conceptually different. This one says, good morning, this is Abdul Ganiu Mankarigu from Savannah region. This is an abuse of authority. The president has no power to dictate to MPs what to do or how to perform their duties. Setting such a precedent publicly and in an officially documented manner is a serious dent on our democracy and a real shame. It's unbelievable. However, they choose to explain it. All we want are tangible results from that office, funded by taxpayers' money, to justify its existence. This in reference to the OSP matter, which we will deal with. Well, so now let's move on quickly. Let's look at the conduct of the MPs in Parliament this week, the minority MPs, of course, when the budgetary allocations and appropriation and things were being considered. Dr. Sekwapong, yes, Parliament has many tools available to its members to protest, to vent their disagreement with issues, etc. Many have argued that what the minority MPs did was nothing short of that. Once they did not destroy anything, it was within their right to protest the way they did. What are your thoughts?
Well, you're right. There are different tools that a party in Parliament can use to express their disagreement or their displeasure with something that is happening. It was interesting to see someone pull a video back from a previous parliament where the NDC was the minority and protested by marching in circles around the in the parliamentary chamber, right? So is this, if you're going to say, why are we doing this? Well, we can also show you examples from past behavior that mirrors exactly what we're doing. My worry, though, is that the perception of Parliament as an institution is not looking its best when you look at probably maybe the last 5 rounds of the Afrobarometer survey. And so when some of these acrimonious things emerge in Parliament, that is where my mind immediately goes, which is there has to be a point of reconciliation, right? Even as displeasures and disagreements are expressed, with an eye to how do we regain some of that lost standing as an institution in the eyes of the Ghanaian public. And for me, that is where my main worry is, regardless of the rightness or wrongness of the approach of the minority or a party in Parliament, whatever tools they choose to deploy to make known their grievances. It is what it does to public perception of the institution and the persons who serve in that institution that continues to worry me. In the 8th Parliament, I thought the closeness of the numbers is what created the acrimony that sometimes we see. But you're still seeing some of that in this current Parliament. I did say that where I sympathize with the minority is that it appears they feel suffocated by a number of things that are also happening institutionally. So whether it has to do with the judiciary, whether it has to do with elections and all of that. But then the moment I said that, someone said, well, they shouldn't be crying because do they know how the other side felt, especially in the last 4 years. So I said, my point ultimately, though, is can we get to a place where it is more peaceful, it is more collaborative and less, acrimonious? But then again, that is me, the typical Ekwape man who wants peace and less acrimony.
I see. But is that not what the democracy is supposed to be, the majoritarian rule? You must have your say. The majority will have its way. So in having your say, you have the opportunity to raise all the problems, and you are appealing to the larger masses who in the next few years will have the opportunity to pronounce on the performance of the government. So that if your advocacy in terms of you having your say works, you would have been able to change the minds of the people against the government of the day. Is that not what it means? It's a majoritarian rule. So you may be suffocated, but that is what it is. Is that not the case? You vent your views. If the majority feels that the way you are venting it may turn the people against them, then they change their ways and get things done properly, like the way you want. Shouldn't that be the way to do it?
But democracies, in as much as it is majority rule, also have practices, rules, things in place that also protects minorities. So you're correct. The majority with their numbers would have their way. The minority would have its say. But my bigger point is, even as you have your way, some have their say, institutionally, we should be able to get to we should be able to converge at certain points of reconciliation to say that this is the way we would approach certain things. I mean, I'm looking at Parliament that day, and one side, arms together, quote unquote, not wanting to participate in parliamentary procedure, and then in the background, another side, working on, the budget estimates and all of that, right? For me as a citizen, I look at that, and institutionally, that is not what I want my parliament to portray.
I see. Interesting. Franklin, yes, there's two sides, no matter the numbers, should be able to come to some point and agree on what to do. But what happens if there are entrenched positions? I mean, there are entrenched positions. They tell us always, and Honorable is here, they tell us always that they agree on most of the things before they come out. And the few disagreements we see are isolated. So it's something they do anyway. But where the positions are entrenched, then we see these things happening. Is that not the matter?
Well, I mean, look, a few times we've had Parliament become a playground for some of these, should I call them, necessary, necessary comedy. The reason I'm saying this, and we should be grateful, really, that they are not throwing too many blows here and there. Some parliaments around the world, right? People are being slapped, chairs are flying, and all sort of thing. Look, I'm not saying that what occurred in Parliament should be permissible or should be allowed. Hey, it's democracy. And by the way, and this, my friends in the minority, I like to borrow the word of my good friend John Saiko, they feel suffocated. But I think part of the suffocation is actually their own doing. The suffocation of this mighty few, by the way, a mighty minority, by the way, is actually partly due to their own method. I don't think they are coordinated and in a very comprehensible manner. When I say this because I've been watching them since they came to start, this parliament started. So many discordant voices. I think people are going over themselves to be noticed and speak, and there's no order. There's just this discord. Somebody saying something else about the economy, you don't get any serious unison and all of that. And maybe my good friend Apenios seems to has laid back a bit because again he was being accused of being overshadowing or whatever it is. So maybe in allowing everybody to talk, maybe they'll find the rhythm at some point. Look, whatever it is that they banded together, but for what really? I mean, those smaller points. Make your arguments clearly, coherently, and tell the Ghanaian that, look, with these aspects of the budget, we disagree. Because if you allow this part of the budget to pass, it will affect your income. It will affect your livelihood at some point. We don't hear that. We don't need to see people band together as if they are doing in a tug of war to be able to. No. You are not impressing your own base. You are not impressing the people who would have to turn their heads and their minds at the next election. You see, so look, maybe after January 31st, maybe Parliament will start following. I'm saying January 31st because I think that's when the MPP holds its, should I call the
Primaries.
flag bearer hopeful
Yeah.
elections,
Primaries, yeah.
right? Good. So maybe after that there'll be some other that will fall in place. But as I speak, there's total chaos. In fact, I've not seen any comprehensively, should I call it, coherent argument made about many aspects of the issues they argue about, especially as regards the budget. And I worry, so it's no longer, look, politics change. It's no longer you being seen as being mature or no, those things have changed. And I think, I'm sorry, I think my friends, they need to be coherent and speak, and then they should speak the truth as well. Sometimes just plain lies. Come on, I mean, you see that the guy is talking about, he just lie. You don't talk, you don't do that in this era, especially if you are
plain lies from where? Plain lies from where?
No, about some aspects of the issues they talk about. I mean, I probably I don't want to mention people's name, but hear some of the things they say about some aspects of the budget, for instance, and you see that no, it's not true. The argument that some of them are making. That's what I'm saying, that there must be some coherence. If the economy side is speaking, one person or two
frankly,
people.
I would have loved an example, for example, because people will be wondering that no, all that we've heard from these guys are truths. So why is Franklin saying? Why is Franklin saying that they are lying?
I didn't say all are lies. I never said so.
No, I mean, just some are lies. Somebody will say all we've heard are truths. So why is Franklin saying some of them are lies?
No, of course. I mean, I know you are pushing me, but I can give you an example. Look, you hear some of the figures and some of the arguments that are made about the figures and the future of the economy. I feel strongly let down, especially on the issue of roads, for instance. The other day I heard one person say that, this road, it's a duplication, it will be a wasteful enterprise and all of that. I mean, if you decided that you got an exim grant and instead of using their money loan to fix the road, you had to share like Komikakena, share like toffees to other roads that were not needed, that's your palaver. And you couldn't construct the Accra to Kumasi road, which you collected exim money for. You don't come and start making noise and writing all sorts of things, saying that people are giving wrong assumptions about the road. I found that really jarring and quite annoying. So please, I'm sure you'll not get the turn of where I'm going. So if you want more, I'll give you more.
Right.
So I was like, what is this? It doesn't make sense. You collected money. You told everybody that the money is for Accra Kumasi. Then later when we found you out, you said, but we need to do other critical road. Critical road for what? You go for money $370 or something million for a road, $270. Fix the road because it's a very important road. It is only when you left that you realize that the Accra Kumasi road, Nukrano, they should be doing it. Why are they doing another expressway? Hey, now say only the upper fast lane. What's your business? Where you got the money? What did you use it for? You use it for all kinds of other routes. That's the kind of credibility I'm trying to help them build. Because you see, the person coming to the table with that argument is not even credible to start off with. To start off with, you, the minister for roads at the time, you got money for this. You didn't do that. You understand? Now somebody says, look, I've got money. You can argue about the tenor and the nature of the procurement. That one day, we will talk about it. But don't sit and make it look as though the fact that the person says he wants to do this, that means what? Then it means what you were doing was much better. No. It doesn't make sense to me. You need to come back and you need to be a credible candidate to be talking about the issues you're talking about. You get what I'm talking about. So right now, it's difficult for you to go and talk about, NDC wants to do something about hospitals. There's complete the agenda 111. Do I know how you procure the agenda 111? You spend 100 million Ghana cedis or dollars claiming you are mobilizing contractors to go to site. Not one has been completed properly. Why? Then the new guy comes, he says, look, no, I'll not do this. I'll not give you money to go and mobilize. You go and do it, mobilize it, do it, and then I'll pay you. Well, I told you when I went to get funds to lobby for a school as a project for my secondary school. That's what I was told. They gave us a project, about 4 of them. I've just seen the publication of the article. How do they call that? The procurement staff. They published this thing a bit in the daily graphic. I've just seen that. project. I was told that the girlfriend that, hey, my brother, the days of do you know people who can complete the project? Me, I said I don't need the contractor. I don't want to even get involved with those matters because actually people will say that this man who brought this contractor, he got 10%. I am not part of that business. I said I don't know. I didn't know why they were asking me. And later I found out that they said, hey, we want a contractor who can actually deliver the work. Use their own money, a bit of it, do it, then later they come for money. You see where I'm getting to. So what locals do you have to come and be shouting the budget is not credible? The budget when you got money, you started giving money like Komi Kekena, share the money, come for some, come for project, come for wasted all the money, and
Very
somebody
well.
says you want to do something different.
Well.
I can give you many examples.
Sure.
Thank you.
Very well. Thanks. So, yes, no, I think you spoke last.
No, I haven't spoken.
No, I want you to speak last on it because you're on your people. So, the conduct of the MPs, I mean, it's democracy. I mean, once nothing was destroyed, I mean, they did what they shouted, brought placards or things to express their disapproval of what was happening. That should be fair, shouldn't it?
No, because the quality of MPs in any given country represents the quality of the country. And if you have the best of the best voted in by everybody voting them in, and they are there to speak, advocacy, articulation, bringing their point home is what they're there for. And if you have people who consistently show they are incapable of that, arguably on both sides, it's worrying.
There are many tools available. They could have worked out.
It means that the standard is rapidly drawing all the time.
Walking out
not
means
just
the standard is falling?
Not just walking out, but this is not in a vacuum in terms of the behavior. There have been, 2025, can we say there have been at least 5 walkouts? 2024, maybe a bit more. There have been throwing of chairs at one point, at different occasions. And maybe just them walking out is a way for us to perhaps look at the fact that I think MPs in Ghana maybe they should just take a crash course on focusing on articulation and getting their points across and not necessarily always having to walk out, but by dealing with the issues. I mean, that's just my take.
So your view is that instead of the protest, because like Kwapon said, they might have felt suffocated. Instead of expressing or venting their views this way, as we saw, they should just have sat to discuss the hard issues, which they would have been unnumbered anyway if it came to votes, and nobody would have heard of them. But now they did this, we are discussing them. People will ask, why are they doing this? So they did this because they felt that the Kpandai matter was not handled properly. That's why they failed to be part of the process. And so they are doing this.
Well, I mean, I didn't actually see it, but I hope they articulated that view before walking out, articulated it well enough. But yeah, I mean, if it's a major issue, walk out. But before doing so, really articulate the point and maybe send a message to the speaker that, it's not acceptable. But articulation is very important, I think, in the chambers of Parliament, just because...
So are other tools of protests?
Yes, but to be rarely used when absolutely necessary, I think.
Like this one, absolutely necessary. One of their colleagues was being, quote-unquote, hounded out, and they needed to make a strong statement.
I mean, maybe this could be an excuse, but it always seems to be something every month.
I see. Abraham, I mean, you are having a time of your life in Parliament. I mean, whilst they were marching and coalescing in the middle, etc., you were busily passing your appropriation and the sector allocations, etc. That really was what you wanted to do. Carry on your business, whilst the other side was unhappy.
Protests are a major feature of democracy, even in the US. I think recently Democrats walked out in the US Congress. And they protested. So it's a common feature. I don't think that we should belabor the point. But the use to which you put it and the way you go about it is, I think, what we are talking about. But to just have a parliament that will just be docile every day like this, no, it doesn't happen. In the South African parliament, it doesn't happen that way. In some places, and I'm not saying we should get that far, bottles are thrown, chairs are thrown, you know that. But I am of the view that in this current situation that we find ourselves, the MPP itself has shot itself in the foot. You don't maintain leadership that led you into opposition to be the same leaders in opposition.
Really?
Yes, you don't do that. You should have, by now, there should have been change of leadership so that they will bring in new, fresh of ideas. The way it is, these are leaders who brought you to opposition, and you see every conduct of theirs is like somebody who is peeved that my position has changed. There's no clear thinking about, and that dovetails into what he's saying. At this point, you need to have a leadership that will endear itself to the greater people of this country so that they can bring you back to power. The MPP has been in this situation before. When those days, J.H. Mensah and Co. were just 64, you remember? Apraku, J.H. Mensah, who were those? Were able to regenerate the party and they came back to power.
Himself and all
Akufo-Addo himself. So I think the challenge has to do with they maintain the same leadership that brought them. And you notice that all the things they are doing is copycat.
Copycat from where?
Because MPP, NDC would have, say, protested and they brought in soldiers, you remember? So let's also protest in that same fashion and see whether they'll bring soldiers. And then we'll say that, yeah. So the new ideas are lacking in the MPP front bench. And also, the show of disrespect to the speaker that day is a matter of great concern because of the noise. You notice that when they made their presentations, they moved their motion and all those things about Nyindam's case, the speaker said that I couldn't hear all that was going on because your noise drowned the submissions. Can you give me time to make resort to the Hansard and then rule on it? You remember something like that? They said, no, you must rule on it before we move. But that is difficult for the speaker to do because his explanation was on solid grounds. There was actually noise. And so if you are now protesting and you are not even protesting because of Nyindam again, now you are saying that they should stop. What were they doing?
The appropriation.
Appropriation. They should stop the appropriation until Nyindam's matter is dealt with. That is too much. So these are what I'm talking about because there are no fresh ideas coming from the bench, and that's why it's happening. But as for protests are allowed.
Very well.
And it is part of the democratic process.
Very well. Honorable Mensah, people think that the people you represent, your people in Parliament represent, did not get value for money. They did not get value for their votes on that day because on such a critical day, instead of them to argue why they think this appropriation or this allocation should not go, etc., they were busily doing other things which were tangential to the purpose of the day. What do you say?
I'm not so sure that it will be a correct representation of the issues. Indeed, I follow proceedings on the day. I was sad, to be very, very, very honest with you, that we have allowed ourselves to follow what the NDC people did in the past. Because I always believe that we can set ourselves apart from the NDC. The kinds of things that they did from 2021 through to 2024, sitting in the chamber, I didn't think it was right at all. But they did it, and we have resorted to that route as well, you know. But I was surprised that, and indeed, subsequent events probably vindicate their request to the speaker to make a determination on the Kpandai matter that day. Because you realize the very next day, Electoral Commission issued the statement indicating that the by-election was going to be held on the 30th of December. So, question is, was it an orchestration to make sure that the speaker did not deliver the ruling on the day? Because it's a very simple matter.
Because the speaker could have ruled.
Absolutely.
No, I mean, what I mean is he could have ruled for the NDC side.
Well,
And that would have happened.
He would have departed from his own ruling of 27th November.
But he used May, and he could have found it.
Oh, no, but the rules are clear. We've read CI 19, Rule 27, Sub Rule 2. It's very clear that he couldn't have departed from those provisions. You know, and so really, but I really didn't think that it was the right thing for us to do, except that I believe that under the circumstances they were left with no option than to be a little bit distracted.
But would that,
which I think we should move away from.
Will you put that down to leadership? Like he said, maybe you will not agree with him entirely, but will you put that down to leadership? Maybe coherent leadership, fresh ideas.
So I was going to address the issue that Franklin raised. I think we'll have a very solid leadership in Parliament. Afenyo Markin and his team are doing well. I do not think that the budget debate was discordant at all. It's usually done on a sector by sector basis. You saw Amin Anta articulate the issues on the economy, what the NDC had inherited from us, the kinds of things that we had done that they were continuing. Really nothing new has been done. It's an IMF program that they are running. We had Abna, the former deputy minister, articulate on
Minister of State.
Yeah, key aspects of the budget. Okay, we had Jinapo, Kujopon Nkrumah, my good friend, former deputy minister for energy, Collins, did an excellent presentation on where we are with the energy situation. Okay, so I don't think that the debate was a discord at all. They actually did well, and not an issue of lies. Frankly, you have to be a little bit more charitable with our people in Parliament. I don't think that anybody is gone out there to as it were, spew or peddle any false.
You don't think your side also needs a crash course? Or
I don't think so at all. And the expressway issue, the point that Asenso was making, the president himself has come to speak to it. Okay, that look, if you have resources, we've done 60% plus of the Accra Kumasi dualization. Why don't you, in the midst of the scarce resources that we have, focus and complete that rather than going to start a new project that you probably may not be able to complete within your tenure? Okay, the president has come up the last time he went there to say that he's not going to abandon the dualization. So it's good. Let's channel the resources to do it. Okay, I'm not so sure that it's also accurate to suggest that the government took 750 million exim facility for the Accra Kumasi Road and used it for other projects.
I think what they said was that the entire money did not go into the project. They used it for some. The other things also came up, other roads.
Yeah, but of course, I have the committee, finance committee report. The use of the proceeds is always disclosed to Parliament before the approval process actually is completed, and the list is contained on the table. Okay, some 200 million of the 750 was to go to the Ofanko and Selorm Road. There was a 75 million that was for the Jisu Konongo Road. There was a 10 million for the completion of Nsawum Apeja Road project. There was 47 million for the Swami interchange and the local road network projects. There was completion of Plowport in
Spintex.
Spintex Road, 35 million. There was completion of Sofo Line interchange, 35 million. There was Kwabenya Peduasi Road project, GOG component of 10 million. There was completing of Eastern Corridor lots 5 and 6, 70 million. There's completion of Ejikrum to Ajasu Road project, 98 million. There was purchase of rolling stock and spare parts, 30 million, and then the construction of the stadium for the All Africa Games. All these expenditures were part of the 750.
I see.
Okay, so it's not the case that the government took 750 million for Accra Kumasi Road and used it for other things. No, it was very clear on what the purpose of the loan was for.
But change your leadership.
Very well.
Crime. You don't move with the
You see,
no, but you don't.
At this time,
but of course,
in opposition, you don't need to be belligerent. Your numbers have dwindled.
It doesn't matter.
What can be done minus you?
I take a break now.
What can be done minus you? Indeed, you are not. You are irrelevant.
We have other topics to do. No, we'll take a short break. When we return, we'll look at the Office of the Special Prosecutor and matters arising. This is the big issue, 97.3. Don't go away.
It was unprecedented.
We all want a united Africa. United not only in our concept of what unity connotes, but united in our common desire to move forward together in dealing with all the problems that can best be solved only on a continental basis, among ourselves, with guarantees for us and our future, a new arrangement for continental governance.
Join us on Tuesday 16th to Wednesday 17th December 2025 at the Kempinski Hotel, Gold Coast City, Accra. Theme: Building a New United Africa. Register today at www.theafricansummit.com. Organized by the African Union, ECOSOC, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ghana, and the Center for Strategic African Development, CINSADEV.
Hey Ghana, so you people know Miss Brother once more. Even you, it's your boy. Kill them all. But this time, I'm not only killing mosquitoes, I am killing the great. See, this wouldn't have been possible if I didn't have the perfect mosquito-free atmosphere. Thank you, Out Insecticide. And yeah, Out Mosquito Pearl for a mosquito-free atmosphere. Trust Out too. You are not serious.
Out Insecticide. So ya boa, faha.
Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on Channel 1 Television. On The Point of View, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, and ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you.
With the complexities of the issues happening around us on a daily basis, it's the hard-hitting conversations and the probing questions of The Point of View.
So what is the Public Account Committee's job?
So what we do is to scrutinize, clarify, and find out why certain infractions have been made.
What do these IMF programs try to do?
The current program is for budget support.
Okay.
There are no projects attached.
That teases apart the twisted entanglements of politics and governance, as well as religious and social discourse. The Point of View brings you the policymakers and duty bearers and drills down to the very bottom of issue.
What authority do you have?
The Point of View airs every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
Yeah, welcome back. This is a big issue. We are live on 97.3 City FM. We're on Channel 1 Television. We're on YouTube and on Channel 363 on DSTV. We are happy that you've joined us. Just gone by the discussion on the Kpandai election, matters arising, conduct of MPs in Parliament, etc. Earlier, we heard from Kumasi where the Daddy Lumba funeral is ongoing. Now we move to another key matter that came up in the week. The Office of the Special Prosecutor and the comments by the President of not scrapping it because it needs time to establish itself properly. The private members bill sponsored by the Majority Leader, Majority Chief Whip, President intervenes. So it means that will not happen. And a few other issues. This is President John Dramani Mahama speaking at a meeting with the National Peace Council where he stressed that dismantling the Office of the Special Prosecutor at this stage would be hasty and counterproductive, noting the need to strengthen institutions that promote transparency and good governance.
The people of Ghana will not forgive us if people develop impunity in terms of abusing the trust that people have put in them. And so that's why we're resourcing the Economic and Organized Crime Office and the other anti-corruption institutions, including the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And recently, there have been some controversy with the Office of the Special Prosecutor. I think it's premature to call for the closure of that office. The unique thing about that office is it is the only anti-corruption agency that has prosecutorial powers to be able to prosecute themselves without going through the Attorney General. And so people had mistrust with the Attorney General because the Attorney General normally is a member of government and is a minister of state. And so they believe that the Attorney General will be very reluctant to prosecute his own. But if there's an independent office like the Office of the Special Prosecutor, it won't matter who you are because they have security of tenure and they have prosecutorial powers, whether you're a member of government or you're a member of a previous government or you are anybody who has, misappropriated public funds. They have the law is behind them to be able to prosecute you. So I think we should give them a little time. Of course, people want to see, more prosecutions and more results. And so I'll just urge the OSP to speed up, some of these investigations and, show people that the office is still very.
All right, so that's John Mahama. So no sooner had it emerged that the Majority Leader, Mahama Yarega, and Majority Chief Whip, Roxy Nelson Dapameko, had drafted a private members bill seeking to a complete repeal of the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act 2017, Act 959, then controversy began to build. The memorandum attached to the bill argues that the OSP's operations over the past 8 years have revealed deep structural and constitutional challenges that undermine its effectiveness. But President Mahama has since asked the Majority Leader and his team to withdraw the bill. Majority Leader Mahama Yarega has now announced that the caucus will withdraw its private members' bill seeking to repeal the act establishing the OSP.
The popular saying is that two heads are better than one. So if His Excellency the President also has some thoughts about it, and I also add mine to his, I believe together we can find a better way of managing the situation. So I can assure you that I will take on board the request by His Excellency the President for us to think about our action. And I can assure you that I have always had confidence in the wisdom of the President. I have always had confidence in the wisdom of the President. Indeed, if I didn't believe in his wisdom, I wouldn't have voted him to be a president. And so, on the basis of the request made to me by His Excellency the President and my colleague, the Majority Chief Whip, I want to assure you that we will reconsider.
So that's Mahama Yarega expressing confidence in the wisdom of the President. Mahama Abraham Aliba, yes, so yes, I want to start with you because you are in government and you see things in a different way. The President says that let's allow the office some time to work to establish. And to be fair, the office actually began real work and real institutional building. The building of the institution properly. So when Kisi took over, you may argue about that. But Martin Amidu started, but he was somewhere. Few people. The real recruitment and putting up structures, etc., happened under Kisi. So he needs time. That's the verdict of the President. What do you say to that?
Let me correct a misconception. The President never intervened. Choice of words to matter in these debates. When you say the President intervened, what the President did was to request, and I went to Google and I sought to find out is there a difference between intervention and request, and it was clear that the two are not the same.
As in how?
Intervene is different from request, and they are not the same.
Request cannot be an intervention.
No. So
okay,
you can also Google.
No problem. So yes, just go ahead.
Now, leadership in a mass political party are at various stages. Leadership. So we have parliamentary caucus, we have caucus of chairmen, we have caucus of regional caucuses, and when they meet, they don't necessarily resort to the topmost. They don't need permission of the top before they meet. So I've heard people say that can't this be discussed at another forum? That doesn't stop that other forum to discuss it, but because this was a parliamentary issue, the parliamentarians took a decision led by their leader to do what they did. So there's no controversy here at all. Why is it that that matter was not bounced off with the president before? No. And I'm saying that
the matter as in the repeal, the private members
exactly,
to
because
the
leadership of a mass political party like ANC, Chama Pinduzi party, those mass, but not the one-man party, the thing we are talking about. Mass political party, they are different levels. And when they are meeting, they don't say that, let's ask the president, should we meet before we talk? They don't do that.
No, but if the outcome of their
exactly, so now the outcome
so
of their
important that it will affect the top.
Exactly. So
the
now
top ought to be aware.
Exactly. So now that the outcome does not sit well with the man at the top, he requested them to back down. And you heard what the majority leader said, that he has confidence in the wisdom of the president. So for me, there's nothing wrong at all. And I have debunked the notion that it was an intervention. An intervention would be, and since when has people in the same political party having conversations become intervention? Mahama Yarga should not talk to the president again. The president should not call Mahama Yarga again. Me sitting here, the president has called me before. So we converse, we talk to each other. It would have been different if a matter was before Parliament and they were taken through parliamentary proceedings, and then he rise to Mr. Speaker. Speaker, stop what is happening. Then for me, the argument of intervening, or is that not it, will be placed well. But for this one, we converse with each other. And I can tell you, this could have been done even without writing to Ayarga publicly. It could have been done quietly.
That's a concern. Why couldn't it have been a conversation? Why did it have to be in writing?
You are talking about President Mahama, who believes in good governance, who believes in transparency, who believes in the fact that governance is something that the people must see it happening. So it could have been done in that way by just calling Mahama Yarga quietly and then he goes to withdraw it. Or this way that he has done. Me, when you talk about intervention, it is when you have a president who will call an attorney general and say that, jail this minister because I don't like him. That for me is a kind of things I would say is an intervention. But not matters like people having conversation and all of a sudden, I hear people say that President Mahama has intervened. Look, I know what they are about. The NPP has never believed that it was possible to rule a country for close to 1 year without a scandal. Now, the NPP is looking for a twin.
You have a twin sitting by you.
I know, that's why. The NPP is looking for a twin in the NDC. And so most of the time, they will want to, you see, what happened with the Okujeto's air flight about Akufo-Addo, and then you saw what that man did, the MP for Asin South did. There's copycat. They're just looking for similar things. You know, they want President Mahama to allow this to happen, then they'll have something to say in Parliament and say, but this is the man who said he was fighting corruption, yet he's the first president who has come to collapse an anti-graft institution. So for them, when they are talking, it's not about the good of the country. They are just looking out for a twin. And that is what...
And Mahama Yarga didn't see that.
Mahama Yarga didn't see.
I mean, so the point really is that
I even have a problem with Mahama Yarga. I said it on the program. You shouldn't be the one championing this because you were hauled to the special prosecutor. So they would think that.
But he's had arguments against even the setup of the office long before.
Yes, but now after the inception of the office, you were one of the political guys. And don't forget that this was a political decision taken by the Akufo-Addo administration to get at the MPP appointees, NDC appointees.
As in who? The
formation of that institution.
No, but I think
it's a political decision
that we needed somebody who would deal with even graft when the party is in power.
And you think that the first OSP they chose?
Atinamidu had national appeal.
I'm asking you, the first OSP they chose because he had disagreement with the NDC, they thought they could use him to do their bidding. But they didn't know the man has mind is
no, at the time he was the man of the moment. He was a citizen vigilante.
So when the table stand and he was after their own, did they stand him?
No, so, he resigned.
They couldn't stand him.
No, but he resigned. They didn't sack him. He chose to resign.
Yeah, so it is.
He couldn't stand.
But he also heard about the intervention.
Those were interventions.
Those are the type of interventions.
Those were interventions. Not requests.
Yes. When you say don't investigate this person. When you say allow this person to Ken Oforeta to. Why was Ken Oforeta in his house in the morning?
No, but people visit people.
Oh, how? When you have a matter, you are a subject matter of investigation. So
I see.
I think that it's
so your point is that the office should remain.
Oh, my point about the office is that if we realign that office, it can play its role.
Realign means what?
Realignment here means I'm the believer of those who say that let's hive off the Minister of Justice
prosecutorial part
from the Attorney General. Minister of Justice will just do administrative matters. He's a minister. Then the Attorney General will be a chief prosecutor. He's not appointed by the president. Then that office can come under the Attorney General, who is not appointed by the president. That is my prescription.
I see. What do you think? I mean, the president said the office needs time. All these private members bill and all of those, the manner it was carried out.
Well, I mean, it's just a subtle point, but I don't think the majority leader and the majority chief whip would have introduced this private members bill without first
talking to people
and perhaps even talking to the president, because it is a major shift. It is rooted in public perception and everything else. So you can't do this without, one would imagine, the president. So for me, and this is going to be a bit of a strange comment to make, but I think the president appears sensitive to the perception of institutional capture. In terms of, first the removal of the CJ, then all these petitions for the EC chair, and then all of a sudden
petitions for the SP,
and then all of a sudden this within a year, it sort of optics-wise, yes, it's a reset, but optics-wise, is it too much too soon, and does it mean the overhaul is to rather reposition internal party members, etc.? For instance, when we're talking about the Office of the Special Prosecutor, we cannot forget that this was a seriously underfunded office prior to 2024, 2025. 2024, however, the budget allocated them between $11.9 million to $12.4 million. That figure was repeated again in 2025. So they become almost a slightly more powerful body, because with that money you can not only do more, but with the repeal bill, if you study what the repeal bill said, it would have allowed for the transfer of assets, records and state funds to the Attorney General's department. So one wonders whether, apart from the politics of it all, the fact that the OSP is finally gaining wings, because Amidou was a great head. He was a fantastic head I've even worked under him under Attorney General's department when he was Attorney General at the time, and someone who reads very deeply and is a vigilante. But he couldn't do anything in that office because he had no money, he was being frustrated, etc. And so this new OSP, there were talks about...
Frustrated by who?
Well, frustrated in terms of if you're sitting in an office with absolutely no money, and you're supposed to strengthen that office, etc., it's going to be a problem. You know what I mean? But anyway, it wouldn't have worked in terms of this private members bill, even if they passed it, because if they had folded the OSP back into the Attorney General's department, you create the very conflict of interest problem the OSP was designed to solve. And white-collar crime isn't quick arrest, quick trial. It's documents, digital trails, asset tracing, mutual legal assistance, and complex proof. And the current OSP is not only a private practitioner beforehand, but an academic, so at least he reads. And, you know, scrapping the OSP would be like shutting down a court because the first few cases took too long. It had to take too long because the OSP was sitting there with no money, no structure, no, you know, ability to bite per se. And now that they are finally starting to move, is not now that is the time you abandon them, particularly because they were set up for this very reason, that with fraud and crime and investigating both members of major parties, you can't have that sitting in the Attorney General's department. You would have to have it, you know, separately.
But the point is certainly great. The majority leader and his chief whip taking such a bold step without speaking to the president about it, when the consequence of that was going to be directly on the president, that was pretty bold.
Especially if the OSP is such a hot topic. Everybody's been talking about the OSP for the last 2 years, whether to impeach him or to do this, to do that, and then now all of a sudden the suggestion of removing the entire office
being championed by the leader of government business.
Yes, so he couldn't have. He cannot be the leader of that party without first consulting, and particularly consulting, one would imagine.
So you think he consulted the president?
Well,
the president agreed.
It's not for me to speak.
And so the private members bill was prepared or being prepared. Because if he consulted him, like you are thinking, and the president said no, don't do it, I'm not sure they would have gone through the process of preparing the private members bill.
But the glaring light of the optics of when it was called for the OSP's office to be removed, I'm sure it went international as well as local. In terms of, first of all, the OSP is doing quite a good job of, you know, this mutual legal assistance and trying to connect with internationals, etc. And so to just remove him without any suggestion that he is corrupt or anything else, and then, so if you can't find corruption in the man, then you just remove his office. You know, there was this sort of, the optics of how it looks straight after the Chief Justice, then the EC chair potentially, then all within 1 year. So what are we going to be left with in 4 years' time in terms of institutions, or are they just going to be replaced by certain people? So, I think politicians in particular, and President Mahama is a communicator by trade before he got into this, is how does it look optics-wise? And I think internationally and locally, it did strike as, you know, is some of the things the MPP
do you
is
think
saying
was it necessary
capture?
to make his so-called request or intervention public the way it was? Couldn't he have just told the guys, no, I don't think you have to do this, just withdraw it, so that they come and say, okay, upon consultation, they think they don't have to go ahead with this?
Well, I think that knee-jerk reaction can only come from when you actually table that private members bill. What is the ripple effect, you know, when you consult? I mean, these MPs, government leaders, they consult internationally and locally. And the ripple effect is there was this subtle feeling of, okay, so if the man is not corrupt, and the whole purpose of his office was so that he is independent of the AG, who is, you know, one could say a member of one party, then you're just getting rid of the office because of what? And then, for me, I mean, maybe I'm a bit cynical as a lawyer, You know, but you've got 11.2 million assets or money coming in 2024, 2025, repeated figures. And all of a sudden, that is just going to be absorbed by the AG's office, who has never really said, and I've worked for the AG's office, but we don't, the most specialist we got was the international department, which was reset during, you know, it was reset during the time that I was there. But it's not a specialist thing. And the other thing I want to touch on is perhaps the Speaker's comments about the OSP's office. He said that the OSP had not delivered results despite large budget allocations. Only of 2024 was that large budget allocation. And the current expenditure not justified. But for me, I think the Speaker should not have spoken so soon, because it's his role to be,
as well.
Yes, but it's his role to be neutral, impartial, avoid issuing policy judgments, and maintain institutional respect. So, you know, there was a lot of background, but when they finally delivered this private members bill, then they saw, optics-wise, how does it look within the year 2025 that all these institutions all of a sudden have got, I know it's a reset, but a reset with your people, I suggest.
Very well.
You know?
Japa, is the office delivering? I mean, is it performing satisfactorily to you?
Someone posed a question the other time as to whether the other accountability institutions who have been around longer are delivering. They mentioned Financial Intelligence Center, they mentioned YOCO, they mentioned, you know, was it NIB also? I think it's just a question of time, okay? And I agree, by and large, with the president's position that we should allow the institutions to grow. And they themselves, the call has been made on them to up their game, if you like, so that they can gain the confidence of the Ghanaian people. I was really surprised about the position that the majority leader and my good friend Roxanne Dafiamapo took. And I was surprised really that, like you said, this is a major shift. And there was no consultation in the background before they attempted to file this repeal by way of a private members bill. It's kind of surprising. Okay, by reason only of the fact of Martin's issue, which became topical at the time, and you know, because of that, closed down the office of the Special Prosecutor. Look, I was in Parliament at the time, and I was on the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee when the bill was passed. I've heard the Speaker also speak that the office should be closed. He felt that we were creating a monster at the time. Yeah, I remember him so vividly. In one of our, I think we're doing the clause by clause consideration. He said, what monster are you people creating? Okay, so he's had a certain perception about that office from day one. But it was for good reason that His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo put together this Special Prosecutor's Office. Okay, consistent really with international best practice. Okay, it's not, wasn't intended to hound any NDC appointees. Okay, so let's disabuse our minds of these needless suspicions. Okay, we all know, and indeed, when your government came, all the corruption-related offenses that were being tried by the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayini has issued nolli prosequi to discontinue all of them.
Why were all the prosecutions against NDC people?
What did you say?
If the Attorney General freed all NDC people, why was the prosecution also only NDC people?
But Collins Dowder's case, for example.
I'm saying that.
I'm asking you. There were public office holders during the tenure of Mr. Mahamad's government.
No, I think the point is making is
so
politically motivated.
It cannot be. I'm coming.
Politically motivated.
Mr. Mahamad's government.
Let's make his point.
Mr. Mahamad's government had more than 2,000 appointees. True or false?
Yes, as other governments.
Yes. How many were being prosecuted? for some infractions that they had committed whilst in office. In any event, it wasn't as if to say they had been convicted or they had been taken through a certain kangaroo process. They were before court. It behoved on the state to prove whatever charges that have been leveled against them.
If you catch an attorney general on phone saying that Akufo-Addo and Ken Oforezo I should prosecute somebody, would you say that is...
Sorry, make
stop that.
Japa, go ahead.
The same attorney general himself.
No, Abraham, let him make
saying
a point.
that it is Akufo-Addo and Ken Oforezo who say I should prosecute Atuforsen. You heard that?
I didn't really hear that.
You didn't hear that?
No, that is the way you are saying it. I didn't hear that. Go ahead.
I haven't heard it. But it's fine.
That's the way I'm saying it.
Abraham,
but it's close to what I'm saying.
No, let him make his point.
We should be serious.
You didn't hear that.
Because the way we do our politics, Ghana is the one that is going to suffer. We should be dead serious. We are building a country. Okay, this is an important institution because the suspicion, and I make the point of this Nolly prosecutor, because they were all NDC people, and we all are under the impression that attorney generals would typically not prosecute their party people. And so if you have an independent institution such as a special prosecutor, then it will be apolitical and deal with the issues as they are. Okay, so let's not trivialize some of these things. It's very important. Okay, and so for my good friends to seek to want to truncate the office just out of 10 was really surprising. And it's good that the president has come out.
But the other point really is
the way and manner they did it is what I disagree.
Yes, the independence of parliament. MPs are members of the legislature, and we say they have to be independent, separation of powers. Shouldn't that make you happy as a former MP and somebody perhaps who wants to go back, that Parliament and majority leader, its chief whip, could take an independent decision to file a private members bill?
Perception is everything.
Outside of the executive. That should make you happy.
Perception is everything in politics, and the majority leader and the chief whip should know that any attempt to close down that office will create a certain perception within the public space that these guys are afraid of their own shadow, and so they are seeking to close the office.
To be fair,
so it was important for them to consult.
Then just an MP had views on that office already. Himself, even Ayini, and like you stated, Babin himself, then second deputy speaker, they've had issues. So these positions they are espousing necessarily are not new, and they are not because they are in positions of power today. They've always held that view. Regardless, it still fits into public perception. Okay, so if they're able to manage it, fine. But I'm saying that I do not support the closing down of the office of the special prosecutor because I believe that when it gains roots, okay, it is going to be able to deliver for the good of all of us. I think that if you go into public office, you ought to be prepared to hold yourself or make yourself available for accountability for the tenure that you serve in public office. If you commit any infractions, the state institutions ought to be able to have the ability and capability to deal with you. Okay, and so to that extent, I think corruption is creating a huge dent in our development agenda, and we all ought to, as one people, fight it. And this institution would go a long way in helping us achieve that. They just have to gain roots so that they're able to deliver on the thing. Like I was saying, it's the way and manner that the issue was handled between the presidency and the leadership of parliament that I had a big problem with. Okay, why issue a statement? The president could have called them in private that, look, I don't think that this will put our party in good stead. So don't go through the process of formalizing it. Because I'm told that they hadn't even tabled it, yes, I heard it was an intent.
Yes, they have drafted something that got out into the public space. Okay, so they could easily have, taken it out without proceeding to as it were, formalize it. He says that we are waiting for a scandal and that there's been no scandal throughout the year. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So you didn't know that.
Make it make sense to me.
You could govern this way without a scandal.
It makes sense to me how a lessor or a lessee who has agreed to a 10% royalty
okay, government turns around to say that no, don't give me 10, give me 5. Make it make sense. The lithium. That's a major scandal.
But that hasn't it hasn't passed.
What hasn't passed? What hasn't passed?
I mean, it's been withdrawn, right?
But why have they withdrawn? They've withdrawn it under pressure.
Which pressure?
For maybe more
So I'm saying make it make sense to me how the government can even table that before the House of Parliament.
But how can that be a scandal?
You think it's not?
Something government has lost what?
That say it again.
The state has lost
that you potentially
saying that
to deprive the people of Ghana of $630 million US.
What have we lost? Tell me. What have we lost? Or you don't know what a scandal is?
Interesting. See.
What have we lost?
What did you lose? What did you lose in Japan?
Japan.
What did you lose?
You gave money to people who did preparatory work.
When you passed the law, the Minerals Income Investment Fund Act,
Japan,
you did not intend for preparatory work to be done. Saying that why the Ewoya transaction was not negotiated. People did not negotiate. People did not do preparatory work to bring the transaction to Parliament for approval.
So that's why
people did not. You see.
That's why you lost.
You see. That's why we lost.
Japan, you were mentioning.
Let me talk to
But Japan, the one that you were mentioning it.
Dr. Papon,
you were mentioning it.
Wait. Of course, Dr. Papon, yes, yeah. On the matter of the OSP and the majority leader issue, the scrapping the office and all, I know CDD has a position. We've spoken to Kojo Asante and a few others in your space, and they think the same way the president thinks, that the office is new. The office is now gaining ground. Scrapping it will be premature, and so it should be allowed to work. But talk to me about that whole thing vis-a-vis the position of the majority leadership. It could be private members, the majority leadership, and the request or intervention. Amaliba says I should use intervention, I should use request of the president to get them to back down on that. Is that not parliamentary independence, or you think it's just a request, or you think the whole process was not handled well?
Well, that is why it was framed as a request. I remember sharing it on my WhatsApp status, and a friend says, why should the president be interfering with the work of Parliament? And I said, that is why he's politely asking for a reconsideration. And my point really was that, yes, Parliament is its own independent institution. The majority leader, the chief whip, are perfectly within their rights to propose what they wanted to propose as a parliamentary matter. But I also don't think that if you put it within the context of executive-legislature relationship, that it is untoward or it is improper for a president to also make a certain request, to his, the majority leader of his party in Parliament. I know there's been some conversations as to whether he could have just done this privately as to issuing a public statement. But the thing about, for me, where I agree with the president's approach in making a public statement is that the optics and the perception in public spaces, for me, made it very necessary for him to have that public piece too, something that he could have asked privately of two senior members of his party in Parliament. We've set up an office of special prosecutor, with the kind of independence that we often argued an attorney general didn't have, and therefore was the cure to some of the limitations an AG would face in dealing with matters of corruption and corruption-related offenses. And so when you lead the charge, even if you've always had reservations about creating such an institution, when you lead the charge, it creates a certain kind of perception in the minds, of the public. And for President Mahama, whom I believe wants to use his second, presidency, at the end of which he wants to leave, a legacy, doesn't want to be seen as, the president who, supervised or whose time resulted in the dismantling of the office of the special prosecutor. Think about what that would do to his commitment to the fight against corruption, the kinds of conversations that would re-emerge, in public spaces. So for me, it was important that he took that public, approach. And again, as you've said, our position, at CDD, Dr. Asante and the rest is give the office time, for it to grow and strengthen. Because again, I'm yet to be convinced that the very institution, which is the Attorney General's office that we said always had these limitations and therefore made it necessary that we have an independent office of a special prosecutor, is the same office that we are reverting to say, let's strengthen it to do these things. It's a conversation, it's an argument that still doesn't make clear to me. I've been asking, if the OSP is not the cure, then what other institutional design then is the cure to the very things that we've regularly said limits what an AG can do or cannot do.
So let's take it this way too. So yes, there's something young people say, like, you shy your body, so how about this whole private members bill sending the signal to the OSP that yes, this may not have succeeded, but yes, Parliament is still there. We are Parliament. If we don't find your job satisfactory enough in the near future, we still have the power to do what we have to do by scrapping it. So better focus on your job of fighting corruption. How about that signal? Wouldn't that signal be the positive to take away from, this whole thing we have seen play out this week?
Correct. And even if you look at some of the conversations in public spaces, you can also see that there is a certain amount of frustration with the office itself. But one of the things that we have to keep in mind is, I know that when you think of fighting corruption, the basic metric that your everyday citizen would want to measure that by is, are we seeing people going to jail for alleged corruption offenses? And are we seeing certain recoveries by the state of, okay, person A is alleged to have taken all of this money. If it is proven, have we jailed him or her, and have we taken the money back? So that is the bottom line, I believe, in the minds of the general public. And I believe that is what the Office of the Special Prosecutor is being judged by. But these matters are also not matters that you can easily prosecute and get the kind of outcome that citizens believe we should get overnight. So you're right, that signal from Parliament may say to the OSP, hey, if you are facing certain operational challenges, whatever the issues are, we are expecting results, so step up your game. But if we look at the history of the Attorney General's office, right, over years, and the kinds of how many convictions have we been able to get from an AG's office on matters of corruption and corruption-related offenses over the history of our republic having an AG's office. And then you cannot then sort of feel this impatience with the OSP, which is still trying to, grow and strengthen over just the period of 7 years, and throw your arms up and say, well, we don't think it's working, and therefore let's just scrap it. I think we need to give it time to grow. It doesn't mean that the OSP as an institution should not also work on whatever challenges they are facing to improve its operations and deliver, because there are expectations of certain deliverables in the minds of citizens.
Very well. Great. Franklin, yes, I've seen your post on this over the period and all of that. But talk to me about the private members bill, the president's position, and the fact that he met the Peace Council and told them that he thinks the office needs time and calls for its scrapping will be premature at this stage? Hello, Franklin? So Franklin doesn't, well, okay. All right, so I think Franklin is not on. So we make progress in respect of that. So, yes, I come to you on this. What would be your final point on this? You think the office should be left to work, you know, because they are independent, they should just be allowed to do their work, and how do we put them in check?
I definitely think the OSP should be allowed to work, because anything that's going to be around for a long time takes time to formalize, to strengthen, etc. And if the OSP has only really started being given money from 2024 in terms of $11 to $12 million, and then this year the same amount, they've been given that money to have more structure, to be able to employ more people, to be able to train more people locally and internationally, and to strengthen their arms and to make them independent and strong. So if they've already been given money 2024, 2025, and they've only started being allowed, one would say, to take these cases to court, because I think at the time the Office of the Special Prosecutor did an unprecedented press conference where he was outlining all the ways his office was being frustrated at the time, I think a few years ago. And then now he's finally been given time to, or a chance
but you think that the way he's handled the Oforiatta matter and all these matters and the issues people like Martin Kpandai and Co have raised have put him in the center of matters and questioned how he has effectively managed the office? And of course, the allegations that he is living lavishly from public funds, etc., etc. I mean, all of that must be put in context.
Well, I haven't seen any sort of lavish living, but we do also have to remember he was a private practitioner before he got this role, and one would even imagine that he has suffered financially by even having this role, and there are limits to what he can receive as in terms of salary, etc. So, and I do think the Oforiatta matter, you know, particularly within the public sphere, made people think, how much can he really do if the most high-profile case where, you know, there was conflicting views of has he issued, or, you know, this international warrant, and then Oforiatta's team saying, well, actually, no, we reversed all of that because it was illegally got or whatever. You know what I mean? But this, for me, are teething problems of a very powerful organization, potentially. And with the mistakes he's made, perhaps in terms of this extradition and different things, and some of the processes that weren't followed, they're not mistakes that are going to be repeated. You know, some things you learn on the job, you know, especially if it involves international matters. And I just think the ultimate thing is that nobody has really suggested there's anything relating to financial scandal of, you know, or corruption. And if his office is independent, let it work and let it grow. Because some people even give people a couple more years to even just land. But it cannot be absorbed by the Attorney General's Department, because I've worked within the Attorney General's Department, and it is not equipped unless it's going to all of a sudden train a whole bunch of lawyers internationally and locally and separate them to be, you know, from the rest of the Attorney General's Department. So I think they've made a lot of gains pre-Amidu and post-Amidu, and these are gains that should not be lost, and we should protect the office at all costs, basically.
Very well. There's a view, so I'm concluding on this, so we do Okada. There's a view, and I'm reading a message from an anonymous source. So actually, the OSP is better funded than the AG.
Yes, well, you see, that's what I brought up.
It wasn't from 2024.
And we say the AG is not capable of working to fight corruption. If we believe that the OSP could not function initially due to lack of funds, how do we expect the AG to function without funds? I mean, that's a question that we have to deal with. So
OSP allocation.
So this OSP allocation in 2019
will absorb it.
Is that 100 or 180 million? 100 million, 180 million.
Yes.
In 2019. 2020, 123 million. 2021, 124 million. 2022, 170 million.
Revised to 138.
Revised to 138. 2023, 129 million. 2024, 149 million.
Yes.
And 2024, 146 million.
Yes.
Transfer of assets would have happened under this repeal
huge.
bill.
That's quite some allocation.
Yeah, the OSP has always been
It's
much
needed.
more funded than the Attorney General's department.
Yes, but we are saying that the Attorney General's office is not doing well and that it's not prosecuting the cases.
I'm not so sure it's so much about not doing well. It's just the suspicion that because it's headed by a politician.
But do you think that the funding it has received over the years, or will you say that its performance is satisfactory? Given this amount of funding it has received.
You see, I'm the one who want to treat the OSP more like an insurance company. Insurance policy. Okay. Not so much as to the output necessarily. Okay, that because you've given it 140 million, it should generate 200 or 300 million in return. No, it's supposed to be an institution that should be independent. That should even deter people from engaging in corruption. But you need to fund it. Okay, so I really don't have any concerns about the fact that you're funding them and they're not generating. People are committing offenses against the state, corruption related offenses. We expect them to work to bring those, bring corruption under control. That's really what the Ghanaian people expect of them.
Very well. So I continue reading from my source. Everyone has admitted that we engage in an unconstitutional exercise to set up the OSP. People admit that the amendment to the Constitution should separate the AG from the Ministry of Justice. If we could not solve the constitutional problem, how could we now establish the OSP? Every institution is subject to political control, like it or not. Well, so that's some food for thought. Let's take a very short break. We'll return and we'll give Abraham Maliba the time to talk to us about Okada and what his outfit is going to do about the safety concerns people have raised following the passage of the law that regulates the operation of Okada. This is the big issue. Don't go away.
Behind every closed door, a secret is waiting to explode.
Who's been regarded as a useful and a sound party person. So I gather there's a fair chance of me making the office, provided we don't get into trouble. So don't start any trouble with the police.
Detective Calls, an intriguing stage play brought to life on television, where every clue matters and every character is a potential suspect.
About 2 hours ago, a young woman died at the police hospital.
This will take only the service of a fierce and yielding and sharp as steel detective to uncover the truth behind this web of lies and betrayal.
And so, you used the power you had as the daughter of a good customer and also that of a powerful, politically connected man in the town to punish the girl.
Why didn't you come to me when you realized you were in such a mess?
Because you are not the kind of father a chap could come to when you're in trouble, that's why.
From Image Bureau Productions, Detective Calls coming soon on Channel 1 TV. It's time to promote volunteerism, active citizenship, and patriotism in Ghanaian society.
When we shine the spotlight on the unsung heroes among us.
Today we're not just launching a program, we're igniting a revolution of skills, dreams and hope.
On Volunteers TV, we highlight and celebrate people and groups that are great examples to us all.
Every single region in Ghana, we're doing something.
Good.
So no one's being left behind.
Over 800 kids that come to school, so having an extra classroom, extra resources will be really, really beneficial.
If you're a volunteer, you're actually serving because you are giving up your time and resources for nothing in return.
Volunteers TV, Sunday at 6:30 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
You're welcome back to the big issue. This is the last lap. We're looking at a very important story finally. The Okada business. The NDC promised that they will regularize and regulate the operations of Okada. We've been waiting for it, 10, 11 months. Here we are. Last week or this week in Parliament, that amendment bill was passed. So it now means that Okada riders will no longer be illegal, tricycles, etc. But of course, the minister says the regulation or regulating them means a number of things. They must wear helmets, they must be unionized, they must be uniformed, there's an age limit to it, and all of that. So we'll discuss that in the light of the safety concerns. Where can they go? Can they go anywhere? And these days, you see that there's go slow on the road, and it's not due to anything. It's just because we have a number of these tricycles ahead, and because they cannot move very fast, they slow the pace at which other cars move. So now, Transport Minister Joseph Nikpe Bukari explained that requiring commercial riders to belong to an association will make it easier for authorities to identify and sanction offenders who flout road traffic regulations.
We want to caution that it is not yet law till the president finalizes it. We also want to state that in the bill, it has a lot of procedures you have to follow, especially the motor riders who are going to get the opportunity to be engaged in this commercial business. You have to register as a commercial motor rider that will do commercial business, and you have to belong to a union. You also have to have the standard that DVLA will set for you in terms of your protective gear, the helmet, the kind of motorbike you have to use. And so there are processes that we have to go through before they can engage. So for now, we have to still be patient and allow all processes to be conducted to the full, and then we can now take advantage of getting some job opportunities in the transport sector. As to the accident rate of the motor riders, and I believe that because there was not any legal framework binding the activities. For instance, any of them that got to a traffic light that was red, they will not stop because the police will get them at the traffic light, because they were engaging in an illegality. So they were always trying to run away from the law enforcement, or they were always trying to dodge the police when they are in traffic. So they were doing their things in a fast manner that created most of these accidents. And again, I stated that in the bill, we have a lot of strict punishment in it for such people. And so it is creating job opportunity for you. You have to also work to live long to take advantage of that opportunity. And so now that we are going to have a legal framework to control the activities of those riders, it is our belief that it will bring discipline, it will bring sanity, and we will have a more respected Okada business in our country. It is again noticed that because they did not have any union, any motorbike that is involved in any accident or any activity, bad activity on the roads, they run away and you can't even trace them. So even their number plates, their associations will be able to fight them out should you commit into any offenses on our roads.
So that's Bukari Nikpe Joseph, the Minister for Transport. Now, Mr. Amaliba, this is your forte. What safety measures are we putting in place to ensure that this regularization of the activities of tricycle operators will not exacerbate already poor safety situation we have on our roads, where close to about 2,000 people lose their lives every year owing to various factors?
So let me start by saying that the amendments to the Act is a major milestone to the development of of the transport sector in Ghana. Okada has come to stay, whether you like it or not. In fact, the reason why it has stayed this long is that we couldn't pass a law to ban it. The more we ban it, the more they were patronized. Because they filled, it's not about enforcement. They filled a major gap, which was not filled by the official, regular stations. In some communities, you go, as you travel in the nooks and crannies of this country, you get to a place, and it's only a motorbike that will send you into the hamlet. I'm not even talking about Accra, but let's go back to the village. So, the best is what we have done. Because they were illegal, institutions such as ours couldn't approach them to give them road safety education, road safety sensitization, you know? And they were not also regulated in terms of even identifying them. Anybody who had a motorbike could just also go in. But now, the motorbike will be identified, it's identifiable. Some of the things the minister said, we'll give them gear, protective gear, as they are plying their trade.
Who will give them the gear? The state?
No, they will. It's a standardization.
Okay.
So, National Road Safety, Standards Authority, DVLA, together have put up guidelines for standardization. So, for instance, your helmet. Some of the helmets we use today kill you faster than if you didn't even wear it.
Wow.
Because it is a what do they call it? Shabbishly, no, that's not the word. A less effective helmet
against shocks or things like that.
Yes, because this is a fake one. Let me say, when you fall, that one pierces your head. It even kills you. So you are better off not even having such a helmet. Now we have standardization. The helmet that they will put on is EU certified and African Union certified. That's the standard. Now, he has said some of them. We will now begin to meet the groupings where an individual cannot operate Okada any longer. You must belong to an association. You must belong to a cooperative. There are leadership in there. So every cooperative has got its leadership. They will have road safety educators attached to them. So National Road Safety will give you somebody to be your road safety educator or to provide you with the road safety
This
education.
will be paid by the road safety?
The state. Yeah.
Okay.
So now it also places a responsibility on them, because now when you are arrested for flouting the laws, the MTTD would enforce punishment. Road safety, that's education, and then MTTD does the enforcement. It is now easy to fish you out, like the minister said, because we will trace you to your union. There's also going to be a radius. We are not going to allow somebody to stand from Kaswa, drive all the way to Tema. You must operate within, because it's even a risk driving that long distance on the motorway to Tema.
So if I'm in Kaswa and I want to take an Okada, I can't.
You can't.
Charter the
You
Okada,
can't
Okada to Tema.
cross. No.
So they have to put me somewhere. Then I take another one.
In fact, when you get there, you can pick a car and go whichever you want. But it is a health risk. And
how will you monitor? How will you enforce? How
they
will you know
are
that
going
I'm from Kaswa?
Yes, we are going to identify you with the helmet. We are also going to identify you with the color that you are wearing. You know, the color of the reflector. So all these things, and then if you are numbering, the number plate, they are going to have a different number plate from the ordinary motorbikes. Now the current Okada use the same number plate like a private motorbike. Will give you a different number plate, which will show that you are a commercial rider. But the law was not just about Okada. The law also strengthened the what should I call it? The safety of Ghanaians. So, for instance, alcohol consumption for drivers has now been increased. You know,
the detection levels.
Yes, it used to be 0.8. It's now 0.5. So when you
it's even small, the machine
will catch
can detect it.
0.5. Then, in the past, a child below 5 years is not allowed to sit in front. We are saying that it will be 12 years. The front seats, it used to be when you are 5 years.
Yes.
You can't sit
so
in the
now,
front
even
seat.
if you are 10 years, you can't sit in front.
You can't sit. It must be when you are 12 years.
Mm.
So it has strengthened some of the...
I also hear...
What's the rationale for that?
Yeah.
Oh, to ensure that people are safe. A child, you don't put your child in front of the seat. No, it's
risk.
risk. It's very risky.
Crash.
You know?
All right. There's been a talk about...
I just want to understand why 10? Why 12 and not 10?
No, your body cannot take some impact.
Okay.
No,
but I mean,
I know. As a child, you are fragile.
We've run out of time, but just deal with this for me. There's an issue about dedicated lanes for motorcycles. Is that a serious consideration?
It is done in some countries. Benin has dedicated routes, lanes. Togo has dedicated, but Rwanda, which has the best example in Africa, doesn't have dedicated lanes. So it is not about the dedicated lanes. In Rwanda, because they abide by the rules and the traffic regulations, we don't have accidents. It's not about the lanes. It's about abiding to the road traffic rules. But with the new roads, it's possible that Ghana Highways Authority can now put, with the new roads coming up.
Okay, great. Just 2 seconds on this. Good move.
Oh, it's a fantastic move for employment, transport efficiency, formalizing what is there and economic spillover. There's going to be more sales of spare parts, etc. But I really do like the sound of that, like compulsory helmets, rider training, route restrictions and speed limits. Because, for instance, if you go to countries like Sierra Leone, there are actually no taxis practically in Sierra Leone. All of them are kekes. Which is the same thing as
so the regulation
Okada.
you think will help sanitize the space?
Not only sanitize, but it's cheaper to travel, it's faster because they go to the side of everything, and it really does create employment and youth inclusion because people can all of a sudden generate their own income and not have to spend as much on petrol, etc. So it's a fantastic move by the government.
Final thoughts.
I'm really not a great fan of Okada, but it was one of their major campaign promises that they made. They've, I guess, brought it to fruition. So I hope that the safety measures that they are intended on rolling out will work to protect the the people who patronize the service of these motor riders.
Very well. Thanks so much. Japan Mesa, former minister, MPP, Abraham Maliba, private legal practitioner, Abraham Maliba, private legal practitioner, or legal practitioner, Director General of the Road Safety Authority, and then Amanda Clinton, private legal practitioner. My name is Selorm Adonoo. Thanks so much for listening and viewing. Catch you same time next week. Have a good afternoon.